a must-do autumn activity as farms across Britain have been welcoming thousands of visitors. So I did go to the pumpkin patch.
You did?
And I got your present, Tom.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And it was the smallest one I could find.
Amazing.
There you go. Happy Halloween, Tom.
Now, is this pumpkin very, very small? Or am I very, very large?
Why do you have to make it complicated? It's just Halloween. Honestly, it is a very, very small pumpkin. But I've got artistic ones. I think we're doing much better than the previous show.
I quite like the little pumpkin. I think it makes me look perhaps larger and more impressive than I otherwise would be.
No, it doesn't really. It so doesn't. Okay. But
yeah, it's an interesting thing that we've sort of imported a lot of American traditions around Halloween. I mean, it didn't used to be quite so big in the United Kingdom. Apparently, it really took off in the 1980s with the film E.T., which had a big sort of trick-or-treating element to it.
When they dressed E.T. up as a ghost.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Right,
yeah.
And apparently that's what introduced so much of it to this country.
I love it. I love Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, but when I was a kid, and probably many of you out there as well, it wasn't about Halloween. It was all about Guy Fawkes, bonfire night.
Yes.
That's what we had. We didn't do Halloween. We didn't do trick-or-treat.
I don't know. I think to me, Halloween is sort of less wholesome. It's more university students, it's going out to nightclubs, it's that sort of thing, whereas bonfire night is more family-orientated. I don't know.
Well, I used to dress my sister. You know, did you ever do Penny for the Guy?
No, never did, but...
Health and safety, see?
I did grow up in Cambridge, which has a fantastic annual fireworks display and a massive, massive bonfire in one of the commons. It's a really huge event every year there.
So when we were kids, we used to do Penny for the Guy. So you would make a guy using your mum's old stockings. You remember this, people? Stick a hat on it, stick it on the corner and literally go and beg.
Yes.
Mum and Dad would send you out to beg so you could afford your sparklers. Right,
and you might buy sparklers, but you might buy sweets. And I suppose it's sort of similar.
Possibly lager.
I think it's to some extent, Penny for the Guy has been sort of superseded by trick-or-treating.
Yes, it has. But Penny for the Guy was much more fun, especially when you happen to dress your little sister up as the guy. And then put her on the bonfire.
I learnt at the start of this week that trick-or-treating is actually not American to start with. It was originally Canadian.
Ah, well.
And the Canadians got it from the Scots.
What?
And it wasn't trick-or-treating. It was there was a tradition in Scotland where people would go around and do a little dance or a performance and be given treats.
Lovely.
But then when it moved over the other side of the Atlantic, it became trick-or-treat.
We've got loads of pumpkins and Halloween fun coming up, including a pumpkin carving competition where I have a sharp implement near Tom Harwood.
Oh, gosh.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, keep an eye on that. All to come after your very latest news headlines.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. The top stories. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been struck from the official roll of peerage, Buckingham Palace says. The palace says his name had been struck from the roll after the King took the decision to formally strip his brother of his Prince and Duke of York titles and HRH style, a move that effectively ends his public life. Andrew will be evicted from the Royal Lodge after failing to pay property rent on the 30-room property. It comes as Buckingham Palace moves to contain the scandal over Andrew's ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Last night on The Late Show Live here on GBNews, we exclusively spoke with Daphne Barrack, the journalist who exposed Fergie and Andrew's emails to Jeffrey Epstein.
It became like a train wreck. It's bad. It was a very, very tight relationship. The traffic between Sarah, Andrew, and Jeffrey Epstein was not one email, not two emails. There were more than 100 emails that we saw. They do know that much more coming. And very damaging.
In a statement, Buckingham Palace said His Majesty has today initiated a formal process to remove the styles, titles and honours of Prince Andrew. He says they are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations made against him. Their Majesties wish to make clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse. Elsewhere, Sir Keir Starmer has told Rachel Reeves she faces no further action over her inadvertent failure to obtain a rental licence for her South London family home. The Chancellor previously admitted to mistakenly breaching local council housing rules by failing to secure a selective licence for the property when it was rented out following her move into Downing Street. She initially said she was unaware of the requirement, but emails between her husband and the letting agency published yesterday showed he'd been informed about the need for a licence. However, estate agents Harvey and Wheeler took the blame for the oversight in not applying for a licence on her behalf, despite having agreed to do so. Conservative Party Chairman Kevin Hollinrigg spoke to GB News this morning.
Rachel Reeves' problem here is that her story has changed. And of course, Rachel Reeves in the past has called for others to resign when they've broken the law and their story has changed. So on Wednesday, she said she didn't know she needed a selective licence, which not getting one is a criminal offence. And if it was an honest mistake, she didn't know. But then the next day, some emails surfaced saying, actually, we did know, we just didn't make sure it happened. We think it's only right that an independent person carries out a full investigation. The Prime Minister is completely within the Prime Minister's gift to make sure that happens.
Meanwhile, UK house price growth has fallen month on month in October, according to official figures from Nationwide Building Society. As experts said, budget uncertainty is a cooling jobs market. It's weighing on buyer confidence. Nationwide said UK house price growth fell month on month in October to 0.3% from 0.5% in September. Property values lifted 2.4% on annual basis, up from 2.2% year-on-year growth last month, taking the average UK house price now to $272,226 in October, according to the lender. Nationwide said the market remained broadly stable. An Iranian small boat migrant is still in the UK 2 weeks after arriving back across the English Channel from France. He arrived in August and was deported back to France on September the 19th. But just 29 days later, he paid for a place on another migrant dinghy and arrived back in Britain. It comes as the Home Office reveals 75 illegal migrants have been returned to France since the one-in, one-out return scheme became operational on the 5th of August. The Manchester Synagogue attacker died after he sustained multiple gunshot wounds, an inquest has heard. Jihad al-Shami launched an attack at Heaton Park Hebrew Synagogue in Crumpsall on the 2nd of October, driving his car at worshippers gathering on that day, that Jewish holy day of Yom Kippur, before attacking others with a knife and trying to storm inside. Worshippers Melvin Kravitz and Adrian Dolby were killed in that attack. And the UK will provide an additional £5 million in emergency humanitarian funding to support the Caribbean region's recovery from Hurricane Melissa, the government's announced. The Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office said the additional funding follows the £2.5 million support package announced earlier this week. The money is going to be put towards sending humanitarian supplies to help those whose homes have been damaged and those without power, including more than 3,000 shelter kits. At least 19 people have died in Jamaica as a result of that hurricane. Search and rescue efforts continue. Authorities try to get aid to hard-hit areas. Those are the latest headlines. For now, more from me in half an hour.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Here's a snapshot of today's markets. The pound will buy you $1.3145 and €1.1361. The price of gold is £3,051.58 per ounce, and the FTSE 100 is at 9,708 points.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's now 11 minutes past midday, and Prince Andrew has been stripped of all his titles and is now to be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. And Buckingham Palace have just confirmed he's been struck from the official roll of the peerage.
Yes, the King is booting his shamed brother out of Windsor and off to Sandringham. But to you and me, that doesn't sound like much of a punishment. It's gorgeous up there.
Well, our royal correspondent Cameron Walker is in Windsor for us now. Cameron, what more can you tell us?
Well, Tom, in the last few minutes or so, The Telegraph has been reporting that Prince Andrew is going to be moving to the Sandringham estate early in the new year. Now, we have reached out to Buckingham Palace for comments on that. We haven't yet heard back. But if that is true, it would mean that it would avoid an awkward encounter during the Christmas Day Sandringham estate walk. Of course, most of the royal family go up to Sandringham for Christmas, for the traditional walkabout with members of the public on Christmas Day. You don't really want to bump into Prince Andrew when you're there, so that would perhaps be a reason why he's not moving until the new year. But of course, Sandringham itself very significant to Tom and Dawn, and that is because it is a private estate owned by the Mountbatten-Windsor family. Part of the scrutiny of Prince Andrew, sorry, I keep saying Prince Andrew, I should say Andrew, of continuing to live in Royal Lodge was the fact that he was paying peppercorn rent. Yes, he paid £1 million when he moved in 2003, and yes, he paid several £1 million renovating the property, but as things stand, he isn't paying much rent on this property. And Crown Estate property, the revenue of that, the profits of that, goes back into the Treasury for the wider public good, and therefore, if Andrew is still continuing to stay there, he is not benefiting the public. But of course, what is the most significant thing, and that is the royal warrants that King Charles issued earlier last night to the Lord Chancellor David Lammy to officially strike Andrew from the peerage roll. So he no longer is officially the Duke of York. He's also lost his prince title. He is being known as Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. This is beyond unprecedented. The last thing anything similar happened was 1917, the Titles Deprivation Act, when the German princes lost their titles. So it just shows you what a fall of grace this has been for Prince Andrew. But of course, it is the king perhaps giving a decisive step. It's showing his strength, and I understand that Prince William in particular was in full support of the King's leadership on this one, but he really had no choice. Andrew continued to overshadow the working royal family members. A Republican protester started shouting at him just a couple of days ago, and I think the public mood was pretty telling that they had had enough of Prince Andrew. And just one final thought for you both. The final line in the statement yesterday from Buckingham Palace said that their Majesties continue to support those victims of domestic abuse and sexual abuse. Of course, the Queen and the Duchess of Edinburgh spend a lot of time supporting victims of sexual abuse, and unfortunately a lot of the royal headlines when it came to sexual abuse was the alleged abuse that Prince Andrew gave to Virginia Giuffre, sleeping with her on 3 separate occasions allegedly when she was 17 years old, allegations that Prince Andrew has always and continues to deny.
Just one very quick question for you. When this story first broke, it was my understanding that he could be stripped of all of his titles. Apart from Prince, I thought that was his birthright. Can you tell us a bit more about how that's happened?
So yeah, you're right, Dawn, it is his birthright unless a new letters patent or royal warrant is issued, and that is what King Charles has done. So under the 1917 letters patents written by George V, it states that any son of a sovereign or any grandchild of the sovereign is by birthright entitled to the Prince and Princess HRH title and style of HRH. But King Charles has written a new one specifically for Andrew, as we understand it, a royal warrant in particular given to the Lord Chancellor, which strips him of that prince title, which is why he is now known as Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. But this does not affect his daughter's titles, Beatrice and Eugenie, because they still fall under the 1917 letters patent written by George V as a grandchild of the sovereign, i.e. Queen Elizabeth II.
Very much, Cameron. That's Cameron Walker there live in Windsor. We'll be bringing you up to date on any lines developing on that story throughout the show.
It's fascinating how this is done by the monarch handing letters patents to the Lord Chancellor. The Lord Chancellor, technically, the most senior role in government, technically outranks the Prime Minister, just through tradition. And, of course, the role of Prime Minister sort of grew over time, but Lord Chancellor has always stayed there as part of our Constitution. So it's all down to David Lammy.
Well, there's a lot of things you could say to that, but I'm not going to. Let's talk now to royal biographer and Daily Mail contributor Robert Hardman. Robert, good to see you. Robert, the Daily Mail has pages and pages on this story today. It's been at the forefront of leading the breaking news on it. How much damage was this doing to the royal family, and could it indeed have brought the royal family down if the king hadn't acted as fast as he has done?
No, I don't think it was an existential threat to the monarchy. I mean, let's not forget it's been through comparable crises over certainly the last 100 years. But it was a grave problem on two fronts. One, it was just distracting from everything that the king and the working family were trying to do. I mean, the fact that the king goes to meet the Pope, I mean, that's historic stuff when you're Supreme Governor of the Church of England. I mean, that's being sort of pushed into the margins by the latest Andrew shenanigans. So that's one issue. And the other issue is nobody knows where this particular story is going, because I mean it's now nearly 15 years since my sister paper, the Mail on Sunday, really broke all this with that picture that we still see, the picture of Andrew the Jouffre, and it was again the Mail on Sunday's exclusive the other day, which really moved this on when they showed that the statement by Prince Andrew back in 2019, when he said he'd severed all links with Jeffrey Epstein, disgraced now dead ex-paedophile, when he said he basically had nothing more to do with him since 2010, and the Mail on Sunday produced an email from 2011 saying, let's play again soon. So clearly that wasn't true. So if that's not true, what else isn't true? And that's, I think, what prompted the king to say, right, we're going to deal with this. And I like most people, I was amazed by the severity of what happened last night. I mean, we had 2 weeks ago, we had that statement saying he's no longer going to use his titles. That was big. People felt that didn't go far enough. Then the issue became all about his house. Well, as of last night, the house is gone. He's not just moving into a smaller cottage on the Windsor estate. He's off the plot. He's out of Windsor. The House of Windsor is kicking him off into Royal Siberia at the other end of the M11 in Norfolk. He's losing all his titles, all his honours. I mean, those knighthoods that he said he wasn't going to use, at least they were sort of nominally there. No, they're not. They're being stripped. I mean, this you've got to go back to. For the loss of a Garter knighthood, you've got to go back to the Second World War and when Emperor Hirohito of Japan had his Order of the Garter taken away. For the loss of the title of Prince, you've got to go back to the First World War and the Duke of Cumberland. So really, he's being ranked alongside traitors, people who fought against his country, and that is incredibly wounding for someone who fought for his country. So this is big, big punishment.
Huge punishment, massive goings on, and yet... Of course, what lots of royal experts and sort of nudge, nudge, wink, wink, the palace was saying 2 weeks ago was, well, we can't get rid of these titles. We're going to have a voluntary sort of arrangement. Whereas now it seems like they actually can get rid of these titles. I wonder what that says.
Well, they always could. I mean, it's that old thing. I mean, that we live in a constitutional monarchy. I mean, it's not an autocracy, but the king still retains powers. What we were told 2 weeks ago was that basically he didn't want to start getting Parliament involved in this. I mean, it's a terribly bad look when you're in a time of some economic crisis and all the other problems. If you've got the government having to waste parliamentary time sorting out one title for one errant royal, I mean, it just looks bad. So the king didn't want to start getting Parliament involved, and then of course once he did do that, who knows what else some people in Parliament might want to discuss on the royal front. So the king was trying to sort of keep it, do it the easy way, if you like. But at the back of his mind there was always, this was always where we were going to end up.
Right.
But to take away all these things, to do the things that were announced last night, it's complicated. It needs, you've got to get lawyers involved, you've got to get the Lord Chancellor, as you mentioned, involved. So there were a lot of details to sort out, but I'm surprised that I thought we might get an announcement round about now about his housing, but actually the sort of housing element is almost sort of that's sort of minor.
It's like they've gone for a big one and done, sort of everything all in one go, sort of draw a line under it affair. Robert Hardman, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. Really appreciate it. Royal biographer and Daily Mail contributor.
I wonder if there's more to come in the Daily Mail. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GBNews. There's loads more coming up on today's show.
Yes, this so-called hokey-cokey small boat migrant who was in and then out and then back in again, well, he's still in the UK 2 weeks after arriving back across the Channel from France.
But after the break, nightmare on Downing Street. The Chancellor faces cover-up claims after she broke a housing law, renting out a property without a licence. Are her days in government numbered? Tory leader Kemi Badenoch certainly thinks so.
She has broken the law, then she should go. In Keir Starmer's own words, lawmakers should not be lawbreakers.
Well, all of that and much more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday from 8 p.m.
But I saw in that incredible ancient ceremony how it and our traditions held the country together. It wasn't just the proclamation at St James's Palace, it was the wave of them that then spread around the country. It involved all of us, it reminded us who we were, and it galvanised support for the new king. And I thought, this is just incredible. And then I started to think about, actually, all of these things have been arrived at and our amazing uncodified constitution, which is written down, but in about 400 different places. It's all held together by these rituals and these ceremonies and customs. And even our law is devised that way. And actually, the conclusion I came to is that these things are really important. I think we don't really recognise, we like them, but we don't really recognise how fundamental they are to our reliability, our dependability as a nation, and our ability to cope with change. They celebrate service and duty. They celebrate sacrifice. They are based around, I would say, the values of the nation. And most of them, in fact, I think all of them, are funded not by the public sector. It's not local authority grants doing this, it's local traders. In terms of the local traditions and customs, the madder the better, as far as they're concerned. And I think this points to another element, that the absurd and our sense of humour. It's the only thing we take really seriously in this country. So I think that is fine. But I think we do adapt these traditions. They do modernise.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It really is a nightmare on Downing Street as the Chancellor faces a cover-up, claims after she broke a housing law renting out a property without a licence.
Yes, Rachel Reeves assured the Prime Minister in a letter that she and her husband were unaware they needed a licence. But further uncovered emails now say otherwise.
The Chancellor could now face a £38,400 bill for failing to obtain that licence for the South East London property she's renting out.
I would really feel sorry for the Chancellor here. I think it's nonsense that you'd have to pay back almost £40,000 because you didn't have the right paperwork.
Yeah, but the rules...
But this were rules that she campaigned for in her own constituency.
The rules
They're nonsense rules, but she was in favour of them.
She wanted them.
Yeah. Right, well, shall we talk to the political commentator, Eve McQuillan? Eve, this is a remarkably fast-moving story. We had late-night exchange of letters on Wednesday night, followed by another late-night exchange of letters on Thursday night, contradicting that first exchange of letters.
Yeah, and happy Halloween, honestly. But what I do think has gone on here, really, is Rachel Reeves has employed a dodgy letting agent. And what we've seen from the emails that were released is that it was her husband that was dealing with the situation, and that the husband has been assured that the letting agent is going to get this sorted, and the letting agent has not got it sorted. Now, it's important to mention with that fine up to £40,000, that's a rent repayment order that the tenants can get. But it's unlikely in a case like this that they would get that kind of payback, because I'd be very surprised if Rachel Reeves' family home, where she lived with her children, was really the kind of slum quality housing that people get big payouts for.
Now, this is, as we've just said, Eve, a very, very fast-moving story. The letters to and from her and Keir Starmer. The latest letter, the one where she explained, oops, there were emails, we should have known about it. Starmer replied, it would clearly have been better if you and your husband had conducted a full trawl through all email correspondence with the estate agency before writing to me yesterday. That is a bit of an ouch moment, isn't it? If your boss writes you an email, like a letter like that, you know you're probably in trouble.
I mean, it is an ouch moment. I don't think we can call it anything else. But also, I think we need to get this scandal in proportion. Compared to some of the other things that we've seen from previous governments, this is a relatively small bureaucratic mishap. She's not taken money. She's not lied. She's not doing something particularly dishonest. She's just not got her husband to check through his emails properly.
Blame your husband, always a good idea.
But hang on, this is the Chancellor saying directly... Eve, this is the Chancellor saying directly on the 29th of October that we were not aware a licence was necessary. And now this mea culpa on the 30th of October, she was saying, we found correspondence confirming the letting agent said to my husband that a selective licence would be required. A direct quote from the Chancellor. So she said one thing one day, the other thing the next day. I mean, the most good faith argument that I can possibly think for the Chancellor here is not that she's deliberately sort of trying to pull the wool over the Prime Minister's eyes or anything. It's just that she's desperately incompetent.
I don't think she's desperately incompetent. I think she's made an honest mistake here. And it's also important to recognise that these licensing schemes are very complicated. There's potentially 3 different types of licensing schemes. Different areas of the same borough will require different licences, different flats, etc., etc. It is complex. They tried to do the right thing with the letting agent. They didn't check the emails properly. I do think it's an honest mistake here.
But shouldn't the Chancellor be someone who's on top of her correspondence, on top of her emails? I mean, sure, you and I might miss an email occasionally, but these are the people who are in charge of all of the money in the country. I mean, surely we should hold them to a fairly high standard when it comes to affairs like this.
Yeah, and I imagine she's probably quite busy dealing with the economy as opposed to checking up on the emails. It's embarrassing for Rachel Reeves, but I don't think that this is terminal, and I don't think it tells us anything drastic about the state of the Starmer government.
I mean, Eve, it is a criminal offence. Let's not get away from that. So technically she has broken the law, and ignorance is no defence in that. And when you consider, this isn't even a political point from me, I think they're all terrible. But when you consider the Labour government, or the Labour, when they were in opposition, they constantly called for every Conservative who even put a toe out of order to be sacked. Now they're in government and they're technically breaking the law, which is what she has done. Oh, it's not a problem, let's all move on.
And we're seeing Kemi Badenoch do exactly the same, but I think this doesn't compare to Partygate, this doesn't compare to COVID contracts, and it doesn't compare to non-dom status.
Well, there's a story about a lady in the Daily Mail newspaper today who had to hand back £10,000 after making the same mistake with her licence. So, Rachel Reeves at the very least has to pay the money back, doesn't she?
She may well do. It's up to a tribunal to decide, and it's the tenant's right to go to a tribunal and claim back up to a year's worth of rent. Whether or not the tribunal will grant a full year's worth of rent depends on the circumstances in the case. But that is their right, and that is potentially what she's facing. That's the sanction for this kind of error, because landlord licensing is actually really important to raise standards in the private rented sector, which is what Labour has been trying to do with the rental reform bill, which just became law this week, the same week as this story.
Or really important, to scare away good landlords who might want to do the right thing but are going to be terrified about being whacked with 40 grand fines. Surely now should be a moment more than any to look at the insane levels of complex regulation we place on people who try and provide housing for other people. It is extraordinary that we've entered this situation at a country where it has become so complicated, so onerous, so paperwork intensive to do a simple thing like rent out your own house, that it's left the Chancellor in this situation. How many more are going to be facing fines? How many more are simply not going to choose to rent out their house?
Yeah. Eve, thank you very much. That's political commentator Eve McQuillan there. Thank you very much for joining us. But we have got something that isn't complicated. It's really, really easy to understand.
Oh, is it?
Even I understand it, evidently, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hold on. Well, I thought we were going to do the giveaway. No, we're doing the giveaway now.
I think we'll just talk about the next story that we're doing, because this, of course, is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more still to come.
J.K. Rowling has pulled no punches with her verdict on the decision by Glamour fashion magazine to honour a group of trans women at this year's Women of the Year Awards.
Well, all of that and much more to come after your latest headlines.
So, what happened to the giveaway?
Good afternoon. The top stories. The Manchester Synagogue attacker died after he sustained multiple gunshot wounds. An inquest has heard today. Jihad al-Shami launched an attack at Heaton Park Hebrew Synagogue in Crumpsall on October the 2nd, driving his car at worshippers gathering on the Jewish holy day of Yom Kippur before attacking others with a knife and trying to storm inside. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been struck from the official roll of the peerage. Buckingham Palace says his name had been struck from the roll after the King took the decision to formally strip his brother of his Prince and Duke of York titles and HRH style, a move that effectively ends his public life. An Iranian small boat migrant is still in the UK 2 weeks after arriving back across the Channel from France. He arrived in August and was deported back to France on the 19th of September. But just 29 days later, he paid for a place on another migrant dinghy and arrived back into Britain. It comes as the Home Office reveals just 75 illegal migrants have been returned to France since the return scheme became operational on the 5th of August. Those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, more in half an hour.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Thank you very much, Tatiana. Right, there is loads more coming up on today's show. We might mention the giveaway at some point. In any case, the so-called okie-cokie small boat migrant is still in the UK 2 weeks after arriving back across the Channel from France.
You couldn't make it up. Well, all of that and much more to come with GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. An unsettled day ahead with some heavy showers. Some of these could bring some hail and thunder, but for all it is set to be a windy day. And the reason for the unsettled picture, well, it's all thanks to low pressure situated to the northwest. So at times this is going to drag in some frontal systems out to the west. This one in particular we do need to keep an eye on. It's set to bring some quite intense and heavy downpours as it skirts its way eastwards. Some hail and thunder and some very blustery winds associated with this as well. As it does clear, this will allow some sunshine to develop, particularly in the west as we head into the afternoon, but it is going to be quite a breezy day for all, particularly around exposed areas. But in sheltered spots and any sunshine, it should feel quite pleasant for the time of year. Highs reaching around 16, possibly even 17 degrees Celsius. Now, there will be some rain lingering on for a time into this evening, but eventually this band of showers will clear, allowing plenty of dry spells, some clearer skies as well. So good if you are heading out trick-or-treating. Northern Ireland in particular should see plenty of clear skies. There are still going to be some scattered showers at times across northwest England, northern parts of Wales, and at times across the south. But for a time this evening, many areas seeing a dry end to the day. But then we need to keep an eye on this area of rain pushing in from the southwest. Once again, another heavy band of showers, these possibly bringing in some hail and thunder and also some blustery winds. These will push up into Scotland, northern parts of England by the time we head towards dawn. So many areas across the south dry by the time we reach Saturday morning, a mix of cloud and some clearer skies. Still quite blustery. That means it is going to keep temperatures up, many areas in the low double digits. Now, there will be some showers remaining for the start of the weekend, some longer spells of rain, but these will eventually clear away, allowing some sunshine to develop, though it is still going to be windy and we still can't rule out some showers, particularly across western areas. Feeling a little cooler than this afternoon, highs reaching around 15 degrees Celsius.
Thank you so much for helping us to reach 8 million followers and subscribers across our social media channels. That's 8 million fearless Brits standing up for what really matters.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Expect delays on the A4232 northbound from St Fagans to the M4 junction 33. In Derbyshire, congestion affects the A38 southbound between the A50 and A5132 junction. In Worcestershire, the M5 northbound has one lane closed due to a collision, causing delays. In Surrey, on the M25 anti-clockwise, a shed load causes two-lane closures between junctions 14 and 13. And on the trains, cross-country experiences disruptions between Leeds and Selby York, and the London Overground faces delays between Willesden and Clapham Junction. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Oh dear. Go on, Tom.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 38 minutes past midday and it is Halloween. Perhaps it's even a nightmare on Downing Street. So let's head there straight now with our political editor, Christopher Hope, who's just been in a spooky briefing with the Prime Minister's spokesman. Christopher, what can you tell us?
Very good, Tom. Yeah, welcome to kind of autumnal number 10. Big issues dominating the briefing now with the Prime Minister. Mainly, a lot of it on Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly Prince Andrew. He will be struck from the role of peerage and the title of Duke of York no longer used in coming days. Government sources tell us his title will be removed using royal warrant and letters patent. There are no plans, though, for the government to try and bring in an Act of Parliament to remove him from the line of succession. There's some talk today that he should not be allowed to become king if something unfortunate happened to the 8 other people in the royal family ahead of him. That will not happen. There'll be no Act of Parliament to remove him, to stop him becoming king if some dreadful tragedy happened and that were to happen. And number 10 says that they fully support the palace's decision taken yesterday. They won't tell us any talks between our Prime Minister and the king, or the government and the king's team. The government's hearts go out to the family of Virginia Giuffre and all the victims who suffered from those despicable crimes. In all of this, we should never forget that the thoughts are with and remain with the victims of all forms of abuse. And also on the issue of Peter Mandelson's peerage, there's now suggestions that he should lose his peerage in the same way that Andrew has lost the dukedom of York. The number 10 dodged that one completely, simply said that he wouldn't have been appointed to be the ambassador to the US if we knew now. And I'm outside number 11 Downing Street because, of course, Rachel Reeves' future is under some question because of what happened over the past 2 days with the exchange of letters towards midnight over last night and the night before that, and the changing story from Rachel Reeves about what she knew about the need to licence her family home to have tenants in there. The PM spokesman says today the PM does have full confidence in the Chancellor, despite the Chancellor, of course, changing her story last night in that letter to the Prime Minister. Rachel Reeves has now paid the upfront part of the licence she needs to get, we're told, and the PM does back Rachel Reeves despite these missteps she has made over restating her CV, taking freebies, U-turns, of course, on winter fuel allowance, not going ahead with those £5 billion worth of cuts to benefits. Despite all that, the PM does back her and has confidence in her and the challenge she's facing. The urgency behind the need to get that explanation out 2 days ago, that was a need to get the information out as fast as possible. They must regret that now because, of course, the story did change, and they deny any double standard over Angela Rayner, who lost her job for, as she would say, an inadvertent breach of the rules. And just on that issue of the migrant that we call the hokey-cokey migrant who was sent back to France and came back again, he is still here. Number 10 confirmed. A government source says this: we expect his removal in coming days. This return has to go through a process agreed with the French, and that's being expedited. And they say, as we've been reporting so far, 75 migrants have gone back, over 1 in, 1 out.
Just on that point, Chris, have they tried offering him £500? I mean, it worked for the other one.
Well, that's a good question, Tom. I don't know what the terms are of the removal, but as they say, there was a process agreed with the French to go through, and that's being expedited. We asked, are the French holding up the removal of this migrant? They simply said, well, no, there's a process to go through, and that's why he's still here 2 days afterwards. But you should know, Tom, I know you like your numbers, of course, that when he goes back to France, he won't be counted as a 76th return. You can't be counted twice in these figures.
Well, that's good to know. So we're not going to be getting 1 in return for him coming out. Because we always talk about this as a 1 in, 1 out deal, but it's actually a 1 out, 1 in deal. Because we send someone back and we get a French choice in return.
And we've had 11,500 in as well, so we've got a way to go. Christopher, while you're there outside number 11, do you want to knock on the door and make sure they've got a TV licence?
I could do. Of course, she's in the flat right above number 11. If Ollie can move his camera slightly, we'll see where Rachel Reeves would normally reside, in the flat above the famous black door. We don't know if she's there. We've asked where the Rachel Reeves is today. We haven't been told that. We don't know what she's planning to do. There are reports, because of a leaked document, photograph she was holding earlier this week. There could be a speech from Rachel Reeves on Tuesday, and that could be the first time we hear from her. But I would expect she may want to come out and talk to the cameras about what's happened in her over this chaotic few days with this licence, but to avoid being questioned repeatedly about that, and frankly whether she's up to the job of being Chancellor if she can't manage some key parts of her home life.
Indeed, summed it up very nicely there, Christopher Hope. Thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry.
Well, we were talking about that hokey-cokey, one in, one out, one back in again migrants.
11,000 in, 76 out.
Yeah.
You do
75. 75 is the official number, because otherwise we'd be counting this particular one twice. Right. But of course, it's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks since he came back in a small boat, the second small boat he's taken. But we don't yet have a time when he's going to leave.
Well, why would we bung him 500 quid and get rid of him? OK, now, the Iranian national, who was one of the first to be sent back to France under the scheme we've just been talking about, is currently being held in an immigration removal centre. We know how secure they are, with the government insisting they are working to expedite his removal.
Well, in total, only 75 migrants have been returned to France since the Anglo-French scheme began operation at the start of August.
Joining us now is international security and border control expert Henry Bolton, OBE. Henry, are you making any sense of this whatsoever?
Yeah, the whole thing's a farce, Dawn. That's so there's only so much sense you can make out of it. The maths, by the way, is 153.3 in and 1 out. So that's how it works out. I've just done the maths on.
Well done.
Yeah, and just you were speculating just now with Chris Hope. Regarding the procedure. The UK, when somebody lands in the UK, just to sort of tidy this up, when somebody lands in the UK, the UK has 14 days to make a submission to the French to return that person under this agreement. Then the French have 14 days to respond. So we're talking around about 14 days now since this individual arrived back in the UK. So the French have got about 14 days to respond. How much of that time they will use or need, because we've already gone through this process with this individual once already. I don't know, but that's where the Home Office is saying, well, in the coming days he'll be sent back. I have no doubt that he will, but the point here is that the system quite clearly does not work, and the system quite clearly, this individual demonstrates it, is not a deterrent. The whole thing from start to finish has been a government attempt, I think, to just simply appease public opinion and the media, who were saying that they weren't doing very much. Well, the bottom line is that they're still not doing very much.
This is one of the most extraordinary things. I mean, the government announced that this scheme would ramp up. And in a world where, the vast majority of migrants were being sent back to France, even if we got one back in return for that, I can see how that would massively disincentivise small boat migrants. But we've had less than one plane load removed since the start of August, months ago, when this operation started. Is there any sign at all of this so-called ramping up of removals? Or is this just, as many people suspected it would be all along, a trickle?
Yeah, it's never going to be more than a trickle, and I suspect it won't be that long until it just fades away and another scheme is brought in. Maybe sort of they'll present it as building on this one or whatever, but it still won't be effective. And the reason it won't be effective, this sort of scheme, is for the French. The French don't have much choice. These people are entering France with the intention of getting to the North French coast and coming across the UK. Now, that's a Europe-wide problem. That's a European Union problem. They're not securing their southern and southeastern borders. That's a strategic problem, but for the French, these people just arrive and are transiting through, in their minds, in the migrants' mind, to the UK. Now, the French don't want them there. The French, like us, don't know who they are. They don't know what sort of risk they pose to the French public. They're quite happy to see them go on. And as long as the UK does what it has done so far, which is either lecture the French about what they should be doing without appreciating that bigger context and therefore getting French backs up, or simply sort of entering these useless agreements. the French are going to allow these through.
Henry, we've run out of time, unfortunately. Thank you very much for joining us. That's Border Control expert Henry Bolton there.
Well, if you're looking for a small boat trip across the Channel, sorry, not that yet. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more still to come.
Yeah, happy Halloween. Pumpkin picking has become a must-do activity as farms across Britain have been welcoming thousands of visitors. But if you are in search of some holiday sun, as well as a very small pumpkin like Tom's got, here is the forecast for some of those top European holiday destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
A lot of fine weather at the moment across southern Europe, but a couple of exceptions. Showery for Greece and rain for parts of Iberia. A narrow band of rain approaching Madeira, staying away from the Canary Islands, but pushing into Lisbon, where it's a wet day on Saturday, moving across central Spain into the south and middle parts of France. Meanwhile, showers across northern and the far south of Italy, in between some sunshine. Showers also for Greece, but the Greek islands looking reasonable next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is 10 to 1, and it is Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody. And
Ah!
Oh, I'd love spiders.
You hate spiders.
I love spiders.
Oh, right, that's right.
I've got spider earrings. You didn't even notice.
It's Catherine Forster who hates spiders.
I had a pet spider.
Yeah.
Any case, enough about me. Pumpkin picking, he's got a very small one, has been a must-do autumn activity for many.
Yes, farms across the UK have been welcoming thousands of visitors looking to experience some Halloween-themed fun.
GB News spooky reporter Will Godley has been at Tully's farm for us today with the latest.
Oh, hello from Tully's Pumpkin Farm and happy Halloween. This is the place to be on Halloween. 1 million pumpkins grown here, not just the big orange ones you carve, but look at all these different kinds of pumpkins. This one here is the tiny Turk pumpkins, a great decoration, of course, getting very, very festive. And this Halloween, it's thought that 40 million pumpkins are going to be on people's porches as we go trick-or-treating this evening. I can speak to some people now who've come here to celebrate Halloween here today. What's your names?
Elsie.
Elsie?
Karen.
Karen?
Georgia.
Georgia?
And say Georgie.
Georgie, you've come here to pick some pumpkins. What are you looking for? What makes a perfect pumpkin?
One that makes a really nice soup or a pumpkin pie.
A soup or a pie? But I think you probably want to cut something nice into it, no?
Yes, I think so.
What are you going to carve into it?
A double thigh.
Oh, so sweet. I love those Halloween pumpkin patches. The little kids really enjoying them. And lots of you are saying, at gbnews.com/you'll say, by the way, lots of you are saying that it's all too Americanised now, it's all too many pumpkins. It should be about...
butternut squashes.
Butternut squashes. But it should be about the traditional origins of Halloween, which started off in Ireland.
Yeah.
So, and we should be celebrating that. But I think, you know what, I agree with you. Traditionally, I agree with you. But on the other hand, any excuse for a bit of fun these days, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. Are you going to be dressing up this evening?
I'm not, but we are. Maybe you can help me with this one, dear listeners and viewers. Young Tom here, he calls me Old Dawn, that's fine, I don't mind, honestly. Young Tom has got three Halloween parties to go to.
I do.
However,
I think I'm not going to go to all of them.
But because you're popular, he's obviously popular. I've got no idea why, but he's popular. But we need to find an outfit for Tom.
Yes.
So, any suggestions? Great.
Something that I can readily purchase in the space of about 2 hours this afternoon after the show in central London.
What's the theme of one of them? I mean, obviously it's Halloween theme. I know it's Halloween, but what's the theme of one of them?
What's the theme? I think... Do you know what? Talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
I think it was Gothic.
Gothic is certainly one of them. I think they're all... I mean, it's all just sort of...
Gothic.
Yes. I mean, isn't that just what Halloween is anyway, I would have thought?
Well, kind of. I mean, that was Hammer horror films in the 70s. Remember those? I love those. My first crush was Christopher Lee as Dracula. Is that wrong?
Yeah. Gothic glamour, which I think leads to a sort of... vampiric.
Yes, definitely. I can see you in a cape.
Yes.
With fangs.
Although it's just so traditional, it's so boring to do that. I think I'd much rather do something slightly funny.
Funny?
Yeah.
Right, OK. You could go
just like a pun.
As a pumpkin.
I could just go as a massive pumpkin.
You could just
Not particularly glamorous, but I mean, beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Let us know. What do you think?
You're a glamorous pumpkin.
I could go... Yeah, I'm a very glamorous pumpkin. In any case.
Well, much more to come.
Yeah, let us know.
Here's the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. As we head through into this evening, it's still going to remain quite windy. We're still expecting some heavy showers as well, but if you're out trick-or-treating, there'll also be plenty of dry weather too. Now, as we head through this afternoon, we do need to keep an eye on this band of heavy showers skirting its way eastwards across the country. This has brought some quite heavy and intense downpours at times, even some thunder and lightning. This will eventually clear away, allowing some drier weather for a time, but then another band of heavy showers will push up from the southwest, eventually pushing into Scotland and northeastern areas of England. Once again, these could be quite heavy with some hail and thunder, and there's still going to be plenty of blustery winds too, but that will keep the temperatures up across the south, most towns and cities remaining in the low double digits. Now, to start the weekend, it is going to be fairly unsettled, particularly across Scotland. We've still got these heavy showers banding together to bring some longer spells of rain. Still very blustery amongst these heavier downpours too. A little drier across Northern Ireland, though can't rule out some showers around coastal areas. North West England, North West Wales too could also catch some spells of rain, and similar across South West England, and parts of the South East could catch some of these showers as well. Now, although these showers will be quite heavy to start the day, they will eventually push their way eastwards into the North Sea, so that means by the afternoon it should be mostly dry and bright, even some sunny spells, though once again we can't rule out some showers, these mostly pushing into the west but some skirting into eastern areas at times. So quite a changeable day, a mix of sunshine and showers, and not quite as warm as we've seen this afternoon, but highs still reaching around 14 to 15 degrees Celsius. Still quite breezy as we head into the evening, so this will continue to push in showers from the west. These still could be blustery and heavy with some hail and thunder. And the showery theme does continue as we head over into the weekend and into next week. A little cooler on Sunday too, but then turning milder once again from Monday onwards. That's it from me. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps four, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Dramatic scenes in a North London street as police move in to arrest members of an organised crime gang. Inside their vehicle, evidence of a multi-million-pound trade in phone theft. A large number of stolen smartphones are discovered, all wrapped in tinfoil to block any phone signal and prevent their owners tracing them. After a year-long investigation, Scotland Yard says it has now dismantled the criminal operation that they believe is responsible for smuggling more than 40,000 stolen smartphones over to China. Officers have now recovered thousands of stolen smartphones as their investigation continues. Many of the handsets stolen in street robberies end up in shops like this. Officers recovered multiple stolen phones and arrested 2 men on suspicion of money laundering after finding £40,000 in cash.
My warning to people that are involved in this criminal enterprise, whether it be shop workers, the shopkeepers, or even the faceless enterprise businessmen who own multiple different venues, is that you may have felt like you were acting with impunity and that we weren't coming after you and we couldn't come after you, and that actually the crime pays. So if eventually we do come, then that's just a business loss. Is that we are coming after you, we are going to come and conduct warrants, not just on your business premises, but we will target you at home, we'll target you in your cars. Nowhere is safe to conduct criminal enterprise.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is 1 o'clock on Friday, the 31st of October, and a very happy Halloween to you all.
Well, my name's Tom Harwood.
And I'm Dawn East.
Or Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn and Tom of the Dead, or Tom and Dawn of the Dead.
I've questioned myself as to why did I go, what was I doing, and was it the right thing to do?
Well, His Majesty the King sensationally strips the royal family, or the royal formerly known as Prince, I should say, Prince Andrew, which we're not allowed to call him anymore, of all of his official titles, banishing his brother from Windsor. We're live on the ground.
Well, yeah, the king has effectively made his brother a commoner, banished him from all public life, exiling him to Sandringham. Well, I'm outside Royal Lodge, his current home, but not for much longer. More details shortly.
And nightmare on Downing Street. The Chancellor faces cover-up claims after she broke a housing law, renting out a property without a licence. Are her days in government numbered? Tory leader Kemi Badenoch certainly thinks so.
She has broken the law, then she should go. In Keir Starmer's own words, lawmakers should not be lawbreakers.
The PM tries to draw a line under the chaotic issue with the letting of this house that the Reeves family owns in Dulwich. We're told he has full confidence, but how long can that last? And is he saving her because the budget's so important?
And elsewhere in budget news, Rachel Reeves has previously said the benefits bill is ballooning and unsustainable. But today, Labour quietly commits to abandoning any attempts to reduce that bill. Has the Chancellor simply given up?
Meanwhile, J.K. Rowling has pulled no punches with her verdict on the decision by Glamour fashion magazine to honour a group of trans women at this year's Women of the Year Awards.
And of course, it wouldn't be the 31st of October without saying Happy Halloween. Pumpkin picking has become a must-do activity as farms across Britain have been welcoming thousands of visitors.
Our pumpkin patch is growing by the minute, isn't it?
It is growing, isn't it?
This is a very serious news programme. We've got a flashing one now.
I mean, this one doesn't seem...
I wouldn't try eating that one.
I think these ones...
Yes.
Oh,
they've just...
Sorry. Some of these pumpkins feel a bit more legitimate than others.
I thought they were quite artistic, our arrangement. Yes, that's chocolate. You can eat that one.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Any case, this show is all about you and what you're doing with your pumpkins this afternoon. So let us know at gbnews.com gbnews.com/your say and join in the conversation. Tell us what you're doing on Halloween, basically. Or you can talk about all the serious stuff with Andy, as we can now call him.
And Andy Windsor.
Andy Windsor. Good old Andy.
I mean, it must be very confusing to go your entire life. I don't know how old Andrew Windsor actually is.
64? 65, I would say?
For 64 years, you're known as Prince Andrew, and then suddenly you're downgraded and people have to sort of use a surname for you that you've never previously used. I mean, I keep saying Prince Andrew by mistake.
I know.
It's a difficult readjustment.
But let's be honest, he did dig this hole himself.
Yes.
So, I mean, you know, and he's carried on digging, hasn't he? So, any case, let us know your thoughts on everything we're talking about today, and we'll read as many out as we possibly can. All of that coming up, though, after the headlines with Tatiana Sanchez.
Dawn, thank you. The top stories. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been struck from the official roll of the peerage, Buckingham Palace says. The palace says his name had been struck from the roll after the King took the decision to formally strip his brother of his Prince and Duke of York titles and HRH style, a move that effectively ends his public life. Andrew will be evicted from the Royal Lodge after failing to pay property rent on the 30-room property. It comes as Buckingham Palace moves to contain the scandal over Andrew's ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Last night on The Late Show Live, GB News spoke exclusively with Daphne Barrack, the journalist who exposed Fergie and Andrew's emails to Jeffrey Epstein.
It became like a train wreck. It's bad. It was a very, very tight relationship. The traffic between Sarah, Andrew, and Jeffrey Epstein was not one email, not two emails. There were more than 100 emails that we saw. They do know that much more coming and very damaging.
In a statement, the palace said His Majesty has today initiated a formal process to remove the styles, titles and honours of Prince Andrew. These are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations made against him. Their Majesties wish to make clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse. Elsewhere, Sir Keir Starmer has told Rachel Reeves she faces no further action over her inadvertent failure to obtain a rental licence for her South London family home. The Chancellor previously admitted to mistakenly breaching local council housing rules by failing to secure a selective licence for the property when it was rented out following her move into Downing Street. She initially said she was unaware of the requirement, but emails between her husband and the letting agency published yesterday showed he'd been informed about the need for a licence. But estate agents Harvey and Wheeler took the blame for the oversight in not applying for a licence on her behalf, despite having agreed to do so. Conservative Party Chairman Kevin Hollinrake spoke to GB News this morning.
Rachel Reeves' problem here is that her story has changed. And, of course, Rachel Reeves in the past has called for others to resign when they've broken the law and their story has changed. So on Wednesday, she said she didn't know she needed a selective licence, which not getting one is a criminal offence. In fact, if it was an honest mistake, she didn't know. But then the next day, emails surfaced saying, actually, we did know, we just didn't make sure it happened. We think it's only right that an independent person carries out a full investigation. The Prime Minister is completely within the Prime Minister's gift to make sure that happens.
Elsewhere, an Iranian small boat migrant is still in the UK 2 weeks after arriving back across the Channel from France. He arrived in August and was deported back to France on the 19th of September. But just 29 days later, he paid for a place on another migrant dinghy and arrived back into Britain. It comes as the Home Office reveals just 75 illegal migrants have been returned to France since the one-in, one-out return scheme became operational on the 5th of August. The Manchester Synagogue attacker died after he sustained multiple gunshot wounds, an inquest has heard. Jihad al-Shami launched an attack at Heaton Park Hebrew Synagogue in Crumpsall on the 2nd of October, driving his car at worshippers gathering on the Jewish holy day of Yom Kippur. Before attacking others with a knife and trying to storm inside. Worshippers Melvin Kravitz and Adrian Dolby were killed in the attack. The UK will provide an additional £5 million in emergency humanitarian funding to support the Caribbean's region recovery from Hurricane Melissa. The Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office said the additional funding follows the £2.5 million support package announced earlier this week. The money is going to be put towards sending humanitarian supplies to help those whose homes have been damaged and those without power, including more than 3,000 shelter kits. At least 19 people died in Jamaica as a result of Hurricane Melissa, as search and rescue efforts continue as authorities try to get aid to hard-hit areas. And just before I go, some breaking news in the last few minutes that 3 Just Stop Oil activists who sprayed Stonehenge with orange powder have been cleared of criminal damage following a trial. More on that story in the next hour. Those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, more in half an hour.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Here's a quick snapshot of the markets. The pound buying you $1.3145 and €1.1361. The price of gold, £3,051.58 per ounce. The FTSE 100 is currently at 9,708 points.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's now 9 minutes past 1 o'clock, and the royal, formerly known as Prince Andrew, has been stripped of all of his titles. He'll now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Very normal, very common. And Buckingham Palace will have just confirmed that he's been struck off the official roll of the peerage.
GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker joins us now. Cameron, this all happened overnight, pretty fast and pretty drastic.
It really did, Dawn. I think we weren't much of a heads up that this statement was coming, guessing it was...
Cameron, I'm sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you for a second while we sort out some of those audio issues. We'll be back with Cameron as soon as we possibly can be. It sounded like there was a little bit of microphone interference there.
A bit of a gremlin, it being Halloween, on the mic there. I just want to read out a message from... This one's coming from Rory. Dawn, what about... We're talking about Andrew, obviously. It's one of the lead stories. It's on the front of all your newspapers today. Dawn, what about the victims of abuse? Sometimes in the fuss about loss of titles, there is a loss of an abused person's life through suicide or the loss of the abused persons with mental health. These are being overlooked. Victims of abuse are real. Prince Andrew, or Andy as we now call him, will survive. Abuse victims will survive, but at what physical and emotional cost? And Rory, thank you so much. I think that's such an important point. We are talking about the royal story because of it's the historic ramifications and what it means for the royal family. But you're right, Rory, we are not talking about the victims. And while Prince Andrew denies any wrongdoing, we have to keep saying that, yet there are victims in this, and we should be talking more about them. So do keep those messages coming in as well, by the way. But talking of the royals, now we will come back to Cameron when we can, but let's go now to former Lib Dem MP and royal author Norman Baker. Norman, you must be loving that story. There's one royal down. How many more to go in your world?
Well, first of all, let me say I agree with Rory that we shouldn't forget the victims. And let's remember that Virginia Giuffre had an appalling life and ended up taking her own life. And if you read her memoir, it's pretty hard reading to go through it. But in terms of Andrew, I mean, what happened yesterday with the King? I mean, he was right to do what he did, I think, in terms of what the public wanted, which was stripping Andrew of his titles and casting him into outer darkness. That's what people want, I think. However, the reason he did it, apart from the rightness of it, was to try and produce a fire break between Andrew and the rest of the royal family, because the flames from the fire have been lapping at the monarchy as well, and Andrew's done enormous damage to the monarchy over the last few years, and Charles was trying to make sure the contagion didn't spread any further into the monarchy. There are still unanswered questions from Andrew. Obviously, there's still material going to come out from the US Congress, which may be incriminating and damaging. There's also the issue of what's happening with the refund he is legally entitled to from his lease at Royal Lodge. I think if he was to get a £500,000 repayment, that would stick in the gullet for many people. There's also a question of whether he's still eighth in line to the throne. I'm not quite clear that's been sorted out. But beyond that, there are issues with money generally. And also, I think people will begin to ask, as I am asking, how much did Charles, for example, know back in 2011 when that photograph of Andrew with Virginia Giuffre first appeared? How much did he know when £12 million was paid out to a woman he said he never met? There must have been questions asked of Andrew at that particular point. So this isn't going away, I don't think.
Well, to some extent, can you tar the entire firm, the royal family, with one rogue royal? I mean, Prince Andrew has clearly behaved appallingly and has clearly behaved not in the way that you would expect of any senior representative of the royal family or by extension, the British state. But there's no suggestion that anyone else in the royal family had those sorts of relationships with people that are beyond the pale. There's no suggestion that other senior royals who, in their duties to this country, indulged themselves and made connections with people who were completely beyond the pale. I mean, why would this roll back and spread? Why do you talk about the need for some sort of firewall when there's no suggestion that other royals have been embroiled in this?
Well, look, I mean, first of all, I entirely accept that apart from Andrew and Fergie, there was no connection that's been proven. I don't think one exists between any other member of the royal family and Jeffrey Epstein and all that side of that horrible activity he was involved in. I'm sure they're all quite clean as far as that's concerned. The point I was making really was that we've now got people looking at the royal family in general in a way they weren't before. There's a particular question looking at money. We've now got MPs who are asking questions about Royal Lodge and the terms in which Andrew had that building, which I understand is not dissimilar to the terms in which Prince Edward, for example, has Bagshot Park, which I think is also a peppercorn rent. MPs are going to get questions from the Crown Estate answered. There may be a question of bringing Andrew in for evidence. So I think, you know, when I say a firewall, I'm talking about Prince Charles trying to isolate the royal family from what Andrew has done. And I'm not sure, given where we are with the public, given where we are with the media, and given where we are with MPs, that's going to be very easy to do.
Norman, Republic, which are the group campaigning to get rid of the royal family completely, are thinking of taking a private prosecution out against Andrew. Do you think that they should do that?
Well, I mean, they're responsible for their own decisions. What I would say is that if you look at
Do you agree with that decision?
Well, it's up to them, isn't it, what they do? I'm not a person who helps control their policy. But what I would say is that over the years, the police ought to have been investigating matters brought to their attention, which they haven't done. Back in 2015, when Virginia Giuffre first made her complaint to the Metropolitan Police, the police policy at that point was to believe victims. Rightly or wrongly, that was their policy. This was the time of Me Too and all that, remember all that. But they didn't believe her. They shut the case down. And when other material came forward from the US, they didn't investigate that either. So I think, I'm not speaking for Republic, but I think Republic take the view probably that because the police haven't done their job properly, they're driven to this position.
Do you think we should get rid of the whole lot now, Norman?
No, not necessarily. No, I don't. And what I do think is, that, you ask my personal opinion, we need to make sure the royal family is a modern royal family and is good value for money, which our one isn't. Our royal family costs about £500 million a year, which is over 10 times more than the nearest other European monarchy. So I think, I believe that's what public opinion is,
Norman,
to be
they
honest with you.
make that money. We tax the royal family at an effective rate of about 90%, because for the last couple of decades, the Crown estate profits go to the Treasury, and the royal family only get about 10% of that back.
No.
I mean,
I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but I mean, this is a misunderstanding. The Crown Estate is actually a public body which says to itself, which is not related to the royal family.
I mean,
The
it is
Crown
related.
lands
It's
were
their
given-
land.
No, it isn't. The Crown lands were given to Parliament in 1760 in return for a civil list given to George III. They happen to be called Crown lands, but they're not owned by the royal family.
The title of the deed belongs to the Crown, not to Parliament.
Yes.
There was an agreement in the 1700s to give up the profits from those lands to Parliament in return for a fixed income, but that didn't give up the deed.
251 years, from 1760 to 2011, there was no connection between the Crown Estate and the royal family. A spurious connection, I'm quoting the Cabinet Secretary, Mr Turnbull here, was reinstated in 2011, which was completely illogical. The Crown money has always gone to Parliament, so it's not true that they're giving 90% back. Before 1760, the royal family funded, or the King funded, things like the Army, the Civil Service, the Customs and Excise and so on. And getting rid of that was part of the deal.
Well, I think we're dancing on the head of a pin in terms of definitions of Crown here. But, Norman, it's been a fascinating conversation, and we'll have you back again soon, I'm sure. Former Lib Dem MP, Minister and Royal Author, of course.
I think now we can go back to GB News Royal Correspondent Cameron. Cameron Walker, are you there? Yes, you are. Cameron, bring us up to speed.
I am, Dawn. Hopefully you can hear me.
We can, loud and clear.
Well, Dawn, there's been a bit of activity here at Royal Lodge. We have seen some kind of van travel into the gates there. It's some kind of logistics delivery van. We're not, of course, that doesn't mean that it's associated with Royal Lodge, but I think the symbol of a removal van or a logistics company van going into Royal Lodge perhaps speaks volumes, because we have heard, of course, that Prince Andrew, no longer Prince Andrew, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has forfeited the lease of Royal Lodge. He's been given notice to leave Royal Lodge and move to a different house on the Sandringham estate. Very significant, because the Sandringham estate owned privately by the Mountbatten Windsor family, which means no taxpayers' money, no taxpayers' subsidies. It will be the King, as the brother of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, who is going to be funding his brother privately out of his own income. So no burden on the taxpayer whatsoever. Effectively, Andrew is going to be sent to exile in Norfolk. He's not going to be seen in any kind of public life whatsoever. And, of course, the King has issued a royal warrant to the Lord Chancellor, removing Andrew as the Duke of York in the peerage roll. So that is a formal process of removing him removing the Duke of York peerage, which clearly is significant. That's far more than just Andrew no longer using the Duke of York title. It is now not appearing in any official government documents. And of course, this kind of thing hasn't really happened since 1917, the Titles Deprivations Act. Of course, the King has done something very similar, removing the Prince title from Prince Andrew. It doesn't affect his two daughters, Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice. They are still protected, those titles, under the 1917 1917 letters patent written by George V. But clearly a huge fall from grace for Prince Andrew, and the King and the Queen saying they express sympathy with all the victims of sexual abuse, and those allegations are of course something that Andrew has continued to deny.
Indeed. Cameron, thank you very much. That's GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker from Windsor for us.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News, and there's plenty more still to come on a busy show this afternoon.
Very busy indeed. J.K. Rowling has pulled no punches with her verdict on the decision by Glamour fashion magazine to honour a group of trans women at this year's Women of the Year Awards. But after the break...
Yes, nightmare on Downing Street. The Chancellor faces cover-up claims after she broke a housing law renting out a property without the required licence. Are her days in government now numbered?
All of that and much more to come. This is GB News, Britain's news show on Halloween. See you soon.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's now 24 minutes past 1.
Yes, and it really is a nightmare on Downing Street as the Chancellor faces a cover-up claims after she broke a housing law renting out a property without the licence.
Well, Rachel Reeves first assured the Prime Minister in a letter that she and her husband were unaware they needed a licence, but now uncovered emails say the opposite.
Yeah, the Chancellor could now face a £38,400 bill for failing to obtain that licence for the South East London property she's renting out.
Well, joining us now from Downing Street is our political editor, Christopher Hope. Christopher, what more can you tell us?
Well, that's right. There is some confusion here because, of course, 2 days ago we know that Rachel Reeves wrote to the Prime Minister saying she's unaware she had to get some form of licence to lease out her family home in Dulwich. And then, of course, it turns out that, in fact, she did because the agent had written to her husband, Nick Joycey, to say so. And that's where I think the confusion's happened. Number 10 can't really answer why they were so keen to rush to judgment 2 nights ago with a quick inquiry by Sir Lawrie Magnus, who is the ethics advisor, and then to restate that again because of this trawl of emails that wasn't done. And the language from the Prime Minister in that letter released late last night was just one of disappointment that this trawl of emails didn't happen before Rachel Reeves put in her case to Lawrie Magnus. She's still being cleared, but it does leave, I think, question marks about just the confidence in Rachel Reeves for people running the finances of this country. Of course, the budget is in 2 or 3 or 4 weeks' time. That's when her role is so important. And there was a suggestion at the lobby briefing was why was Angela Rayner let go, of course, when she also had inadvertently paid less stamp duty than she should have done on that flat in Hove when the PM has allowed the Chancellor to stay. The reason why is that Lawrie Magnus has found a breach in the ministerial code by Angela Rayner, but not by Rachel Reeves. So she carries on. But I think question marks about her from more of the general public about this lack of kind of discipline, I think, in her private life that led to this slightly chaotic past 2 days.
A lot of time to investigate it thoroughly, did they? We're talking, what, the space of 48 hours? They came to the decision very quickly.
Yeah. And that's right, that wasn't really explained because the exchange of letters happened 2 nights ago, just as the front page of the Daily Mail was landing. She was cleared then because she told the PM she had no idea she had to get a licence. That all changed when, of course, the emails emerged with the local estate agent. Yes, it's true the agent had offered to do it for them as a goodwill gesture, but it's still on the incumbent landlord to make sure it's done. They have to chase it up in the same way the tax affairs of Angela Rayner are her problem, not her advisors, and that's why it's rather similar, but the outcome is different. There's no breach in terms of Rachel Reeves. There was a breach with Angela Rayner. Rayner's gone, Reeves stays. I just wonder whether the rush 2 nights ago to get the inquiry done may have been to reassure the bond markets. We've seen before how when she was crying next to the dispatch box, the pound tanked and there were concerns in the market about her future. What people do worry about, it seems, in the markets with the concerns about the borrowing in the UK is if Rachel Reeves went, who would replace her? She has stuck to these discipline rules. That will carry on, but it might change the budget when taxes could go up.
But Christopher, this stinks. Lawrie Magnus is supposed to be an independent advisor and yet rushed to judgment before he knew the full facts. He's supposed to be the independent advisor on ethics, and yet I think what you're saying, what lots of people are saying is it's likely that this was all influenced by the bond markets, i.e. the man who is supposed to be the cleaner than clean, whiter than white, do it by the book individual, rushed to clear the Chancellor before he knew the full facts, before he'd been shown the emails. Surely there are questions that now will be asked of Sir Lawrie Magnus.
Well, Lawrie Magnus was doing, we would assume, we haven't seen the exchange of letters with Lawrie Magnus and what was told by the Chancellor, that he had the full picture. Here it is. We had no idea about the requirement to have a licence, and that was what Rachel Reeves told the Prime Minister 2 nights ago. But that all changed when Nick Joycey, who's the husband of Rachel Reeves, a senior civil servant, he looked through his emails and found out that, in fact, he was told. In the first letter, the Chancellor said we, including her and her husband, and of course it's very regrettable, as the PM said, this didn't emerge for 2 days. So the rush to go and try and get this an open and shut case, if you like, led to the second restatement.
But surely the point of an independent ethics advisor,
the problem.
Surely the point of an independent ethics advisor is that you don't just accept what someone says at their word, you actually do a bit of investigation. I mean, there was no investigation done whatsoever, and the government just gave the Chancellor a complete whitewash. It begs the question, what else are they leaning on their so-called independent advisors for political expediency on? I mean, if the independent advisor is willing to say, look, nothing to see here, when actually he hasn't seen a jot of one email, I'm flabbergasted that more people aren't talking about the lack of independence here, by the looks of it, at face value, from the independent advisor.
I think, Tom, you're right. I think it does undermine the role of the independent advisor when, of course, the PM won power last July last year. He said he would bring in a new way of doing things, allow the independent advisor to investigate where they wanted to. That's happened, but I think the rush to clear her without that information is a problem for him. It's undermined Lauren Magnus, and it's annoyed the Prime Minister because he's had to restate and almost chastise the Chancellor in public. That is difficult, that is awkward. We are due to hear from Rachel Reeves on Tuesday in a speech. That might be the first time we've heard from her. There will be questions about her, whether she's up to the job, frankly, on Tuesday, unless she can come speak to us before that.
OK, well, let's put those similar points to our next guest. Thank you very much, Christopher. Former Conservative Aide to Chief Secretary to the Treasury, Leon Imarali. Leon, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. What do you make of the point that Tom has just made? The fact that this decision to clear Rachel Reeves was made literally in 2 days. It doesn't seem that there was much investigating actually going on.
Yeah, I think that is probably, Dawn, the biggest question mark over this entire story. I mean, I've got some sympathy for Rachel Reeves. I think this was a minor misdemeanour in the grand scheme of things. But I think the thing we have to focus on is the role of the independent advisor. Is he bringing value to the Prime Minister, to the role of government, if they are rushing through these investigations without doing the due diligence that one would expect? That said, I do have sympathy with what Chris was just saying and what you've been alluding to. She's the Chancellor of the Exchequer. When there is any uncertainty over the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the markets always respond negatively, especially now when we are weeks away from what is going to be a monumental budget, a critical budget for this nation's economy. And I think if they were to leave a question mark hanging over a future for much longer, it would have been devastating for the country's sort of stability. And I think, therefore, that's probably what's at play. Does it mean it's right? I don't think so, but ultimately I think it's being pragmatic with the way in which this investigation was carried out rather hastily.
I completely get that point. And yes, it's better for the economy for there not to be a massive rupture or question mark over the Chancellor just before the budget. But surely, if there's an independent advisor on ethics and standards, his primary concern is on ethics and standards, not on making sure the Chancellor stays in her job for another 30 days.
But what's the alternative, Tom? I think this is it. You know, do we then say, OK, we're going to open a full investigation? It's going to take a matter of weeks because we need to go through an email back catalogue, and all that period, people are thinking, well, is she going to be the one who's actually standing at the dispatch box on budget day or not? You know,
didn't the Prime Minister once say he was Mr. Rules? All the criticism of the Conservative Party on whether they followed every, crossed T and full stop of every COVID law imaginable. And Keir Starmer himself said that he would resign as Labour Party leader over a beer in Durham. I mean, when we had all of this sort of very pernickety, rules-based analysis, now it seems that we throw that all out the window. Begone with all the rules and the proper way of doing things because we've got to make sure the Chancellor's still in place. I mean, economically, that might be a sensible argument, but it doesn't line up with the ethics-first approach that this government used to talk about.
Well, this is the problem, right? So Keir Starmer, exactly as you say, was the first person to criticise Boris Johnson for having a bit of birthday cake in number 10 Downing Street. He was the first person to criticise the Conservatives for any minor misdemeanour that they'd been up to. And you were always, therefore, going to be held to a much higher standard of ethics and propriety. And he's made that a central part of his pitch to the electorate during the election. So he's ultimately saying, we're going to be whiter than white. That isn't going to happen in politics. We're already seeing it with a number of ministers that have had to resign for fraud allegations, Angela Rayner's stamp duty, blah, blah, blah. That isn't the case. And that's Keir Starmer's political problem, is he's painted himself as some sort of saint and therefore is held to a higher standard. I think if he hadn't done that and he'd refrained from calling for anyone's resignation for any sort of minor point that they'd done during the Conservative tenure, then I think he'd have a bit more leeway from people like you, Tom, who clearly are passionate about this, and rightly so. Ethics and propriety is important, but not necessarily at the expense of economic well-being of the country. And I think that's the balance here, and that's why it's such a difficult thing for Number 10 and the ethics advisor to really sort of have a definitive point around.
OK, Leon, thank you very much. That's former Conservative aide to Chief Secretary to the Treasury, Leon Emirali. Thank you very much, Leon.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more to come.
Rachel Reeves has said the benefits bill is ballooning and unsustainable, but today Labour quietly commits to abandoning any attempt to reduce it. Has the Chancellor simply given up?
All of that and much more after your latest news headlines.
The top stories. The Manchester Synagogue attacker died after he sustained multiple gunshot wounds. An inquest is heard. Jihad al-Shami launched an attack at Heaton Park Hebrew Synagogue in Crumpsall on the 2nd of October, driving his car at worshippers gathering on the Jewish holy day of Yom Kippur before attacking others with a knife and trying to storm inside. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been struck from the official roll of the peerage. Buckingham Palace says his name had been struck from the roll after the King took the decision to formally strip his brother of his Prince and Duke of York titles in HRH style, a move that effectively ends his public life. An Iranian small boat migrant is still in the UK, 2 weeks after arriving back across the Channel from France. He arrived in August and was deported back to France on the 19th of September, but just 29 days later, he paid for a place on another migrant dinghy and arrived back in Britain. It comes as the Home Office reveals just 75 illegal migrants have been returned to France since the return scheme became operational on the 5th of August. Those are the GB News headlines for now. More in half an hour.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Thank you very much, Tatiana. And there's loads more coming up on today's show. J.K. Rowling has pulled no punches with her verdict on the decision by Glamour fashion magazine to honour a group of trans women at this year's Women of the Year Awards. All of that and much more to come. This is GB News, Britain's News Channel. We'll see you soon.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. An unsettled day ahead with some heavy showers. Some of these could bring some hail and thunder, but for all it is set to be a windy day. And the reason for the unsettled picture, well, it's all thanks to low pressure situated to the northwest. So at times this is going to drag in some frontal systems out to the west. This one in particular we do need to keep an eye on. It's set to bring some quite intense and heavy downpours as it skirts its way eastwards. Some hail and thunder and some very blustery winds associated with this as well. As it does clear, this will allow some sunshine to develop, particularly in the west as we head into the afternoon. But it is going to be quite a breezy day for all, particularly around exposed areas. But in sheltered spots and any sunshine, it should feel quite pleasant for the time of year. Highs reaching around 16, possibly even 17 degrees Celsius. Now, there will be some rain lingering on for a time into this evening, but eventually this band of showers will clear, allowing plenty of dry spells, some clearer skies as well. So good if you are heading out trick-or-treating. Northern Ireland in particular should see plenty of clear skies. There are still going to be some scattered showers at times across northwest England, northern parts of Wales, and at times across the south. But for a time this evening, many areas seeing a dry end to the day. But then we need to keep an eye on this area of rain pushing in from the southwest. Once again, another heavy band of showers, these possibly bringing in some hail and thunder and also some blustery winds. These will push up into Scotland, northern parts of England by the time we head towards dawn. So many areas across the south dry by the time we reach Saturday morning, a mix of cloud and some clearer skies. Still quite blustery. That means it is going to keep temperatures up, many areas in the low double digits. Now, there will be some showers remaining for the start of the weekend, some longer spells of rain, but these will eventually clear away, allowing some sunshine to develop, though it is still going to be windy and we still can't rule out some showers, particularly across western areas. Feeling a little cooler than this afternoon, highs reaching around 15 degrees Celsius.
Thank you, Britain, for making us the fastest growing news website in the UK. We're truly humbled and we couldn't have done it without you.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. An incident on the eastbound M4 between junctions 29 and 28 has caused a lane closure. The M6 southbound in Lancashire faces a 30-minute delay between junctions 36 and 35. In Surrey, a road traffic collision on the M23 northbound between junctions 9 and 8 has closed a lane. On the M32 southbound at junction 2 in Bristol, one lane is closed for road management. Cross-country services are disrupted between Leeds and York and Newcastle and Alnmouth. Greater Anglia reports delays between Ipswich and Felixstowe. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Oh, good afternoon, Britain.
It is
Come on.
Halloween, and
It is
we are
Halloween.
having a wonderful time here in the studio with all of our pumpkins.
We have, and Tom is very hyperactive today. He's just eaten a family-sized grab bag of savoury, wiggly worm things.
There's a story here, because I was in Oxford last night. I was speaking at the Union, which was an interesting time to be speaking there. But I got the last train back, the midnight train. I was hungry, and I tried to buy some quavers in a vending machine, and they got stuck. They got stuck. I paid my £1.75
We've all been
for a
there.
bag of quavers, and they got stuck in the machine. And you replied to my tweet. You were up late or early. I'm not quite sure. Saying I'll bring you some crisps in the morning.
So I made the mistake of buying him some Halloween wiggly worm things, savoury snack, a family-sized grab bag. Now Tom, being Tom, has eaten the whole lot, and he is now hyperactive.
I feel like I'm just passionate in my role. But
in any case,
yes, let's get to this story now. The first time Glamour magazine has honoured a group of transgender women at this year's Woman of the Year Awards.
Yeah, the publications say they gathered 9 dolls, which is trans women working across fashion, music, publishing, and activism.
But the author J.K. Rowling has blasted Glamour UK online for its decision, accusing the publication of telling that men are better at women than they are.
She might have a point, or does she? Joining us now is a diversity and inclusion facilitator, Katie John Wen. Katie, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Katie, what do you make of this magazine's decision to honour a load of basically biological men as Women of the Year?
Well, they weren't the only women honoured. They were one group among several. I think there were about 17 or 18 people in total. I personally think it's, in the bigger scheme of things, I think it's kind of bad allyship that backfires. I think within their own target market, it was brilliant in that sense, because their target market is generally pro and positive that. It's picked up so much kind of views and circulation on everything from X to Instagram that it's probably given exactly what their marketing people want, a very visible boost to their magazine and an indirect additional boost to the other women who were part of those awards. In terms of their non-target market, it's landed very badly.
Yes, I wonder if this is the point, and we're falling into a bit of a bear trap here, that this was all to get everyone talking about Glamour magazine. And everyone is now talking about Glamour magazine. It seems strange that they would have taken this specific controversial point of view. They would have known the backlash that was coming.
Yeah, and obviously there was the Protect the Dolls T-shirt, which I'm not a mad fan of at all, but it has like a 1980s Black and Latina trans ballroom culture origin context to. But within that, it was the Ives T-shirt being kind of used at some of the fashion catwalks last year. So as a young kind of woman's kind of fashion mag, it's relevant to their context and to their market, and then dressing up the 9 trans participants in this, all in various variations of that T-shirt, etc., and other gear. It fits, as I say, their target market perfectly, but it is kind of a red rag to the bull. And even with their latest, I think it was a tweet or something like that, where they actually said "Stay mad, JK." It's mutual goading going on now, and as I say, it's boosting attention to a Women of the Year's awards for a kind of a young person's market that nobody else would have paid attention to, but now everyone has noticed. So, in terms of the marketing team, kudos to them. But I say, in the bigger picture of things, I think it's allyship that will backfire. It's only going to get trans people in the rest of the kind of the social market more ire and more of a backlash. It doesn't help in the bigger scheme of things, but in the context of their readership, it does help.
And Katie, J.K. Rowling does have a point. What message does it send to young women and older women like myself that where a biological man is a better woman of the year than I am?
It sends a mixed message, as I say, because of where society is at right now. But it is like instead of like looking for peaceful coexistence, it is like lobbing another grenade over the trenches right now. I don't think, if you actually read the article, and I think the article that accompanied that particular cover story, I think it was penned by Sean Fay, and the actual interviews with the 9 trans women in it were actually quite good interviews, talking about a number of things, about body objectification, about the kind of the capitalization of women's bodies and all kinds of things, and the difficulties within the fashion industry as a whole, and mental health and empathy and understanding, etc. I think it was actually quite a good article when you get past the fact that the cover story, as I say, is bait.
Yeah, well, it's worked, obviously. Katie, thank you very much. That's our Katie John Went there joining us to talk about men being Women of the Year. Well, why not?
Well, we reached out to Condé Nast, the company that own Glamour, for a response, but they're yet to respond to our inquiries. However, Glamour magazine have previously said on Twitter...
As trans rights face increasing threat in the UK, Glamour honours 9 of the community's most groundbreaking voices at this year's Women of the Year Awards. From fashion and music to charity and activism work, these trailblazers work tirelessly to empower, uplift and celebrate trans voices.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more still to come in today's programme.
But if you are in search of some holiday sun, here is a forecast for those top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
A lot of fine weather at the moment across southern Europe, but a couple of exceptions. Showery for Greece and rain for parts of Iberia. A narrow band of rain approaching Madeira, staying away from the Canary Islands, but pushing into Lisbon, where it's a wet day on Saturday, moving across central Spain into the south and middle parts of France. Meanwhile, showers across northern and the far south of Italy, in between some sunshine. Showers also for Greece, but the Greek islands looking reasonable next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Secretary is urging medical professionals to prescribe having a job as a form of treatment for anxiety and depression. West Streeting wants employment to be seen as being just as vital to health as diet and exercise. His comments come as the latest figures reveal there are more than 2.8 million people of working age who are economically inactive in the UK because of long-term sickness. Joining me now is a psychotherapist and broadcaster, Lucy Beresford. Lucy, good to see you. What do you make of this story? Prescribing going to work, basically?
In effect, that's what it's doing. And on the whole, I'm fully behind it because work is a very powerful mood lifter. It works on 3 levels, really. It gives you a sense of structure. It gives you somewhere that you have to go and to be there at certain times, maybe fulfill certain deadlines. It also gives you a sense of purpose. And we know from a lot of studies that when you have mental illness, and particularly when you have depression or anxiety, that sense of helplessness, worthlessness can be very debilitating, and it can send you on a downward spiral, make it very hard for you to get well. And yet if you have work, if you have a sense of purpose, if you have a mission, if you like, if you have goals, if you get improvements in your work and you get promoted, all of those things can be very beneficial. And the third thing, of course, is that in the workplace, we form human connections. We are very relational creatures, human beings. We come into this world physically joined to another person, and that is our template. We are longing for connection.
GB News, the People's Channel. the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is 10 to 2 and it's Halloween, and pumpkin picking has become a must-do autumn activity for many.
Yes, farms across the country have been welcoming thousands of visitors looking to experience some Halloween-themed fun.
GB News spooky reporter Will Godley has been at Tully's farm for us today with all the latest on pumpkin news.
From Tully's. Oh, I'm sorry about the audio quality on that. It sounded like a Dalek.
It is Halloween. OK, folks, let's do the cards on the table right now. We're always very honest on this show, aren't we, Tom? Cards on the table. It is Halloween, and we have had so many gremlins in the system today.
We really have. I think someone's got to the audio quality of some of our reports. We had to go away and come back from Cameron. Yeah. Will Godley's had a bit of a problem. But I think the problem here must be that it's the 31st of October. Everything's haunted.
Yes, indeed. And we did have lots of... We were talking earlier on about Tom obviously going to a Halloween party. I'm not invited to any. And
do you want to come along to one of mine?
No, I'd rather poke my eyes out,
Fair enough.
But Tom has been invited to loads of parties. He's got 3 to go to, and we were debating what to dress you as.
Yes.
And lots of suggestions coming
I'm actually really interested in what these suggestions are.
Yeah. One said that you should just paint your face red and go in a cape. I'm not sure what that one meant, to be honest with you.
Red and a cape? I'm not quite sure what that is.
No, I don't know either. Maybe some sort of devil thing? The devil.
The devil, maybe. I mean, it's a bit Darth Maul, isn't it? It's a bit 2003.
I like that idea.
I was thinking, and this is going to be a popular one this year, of wearing a grey shirt, grey tracksuit bottoms, and an avocado tote bag.
Why?
The less said about that one, the better.
Yeah, I know, you can't go there. No, you really can't go there. You could, obviously, go as Rachel Reeves.
That would be spooky.
That would be fun.
But I hear a lot of... Because obviously Rachel Reeves has a particular haircut. And I hear that a lot of wigs have gone out of stock across the country. Not because people are dressing as Rachel Reeves, but Claudia Winkleman. There is a big sort of movement. It's all over social media of people hosting... There have even been Claudia Winkleman parties where everyone has to dress up as Claudia Winkleman. Because she's become so big, everyone's watching The Traitors this year. One of the go-to Halloween costumes this year are people just wearing wigs that go down to their eyes like this.
I can do that. I can do the fringe thing.
So, I mean...
So, hold on. Just you go to parties where everyone dresses up as Claudia Winkleman?
I don't, but I have seen them on social media.
Right, OK. Are you sure you don't go to these parties?
I mean, I would if I was invited.
Yeah, I'm sure you would, actually. But, I mean, The Traitors is very popular, and that would be a good Halloween costume as well.
I think it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, I might try and seek out a Claudia Winkleman costume.
PVC is included in a lot of Halloween costumes.
It is?
There's lots of PVC included in these. The ones I've been looking at online, and you can tell what websites are on here, can't you? Yeah. Well, it's a gothic
but would
theme
you be buying a sort of ready-made-to-go Halloween costume, or is that cheating a bit? Do you have to sort of do it a bit more homemade?
Well, I mean, the homemade is good.
Yeah, I'm much more of a homemade sort of category.
However, we have got a treat coming up.
We do.
In the next hour, haven't we? Because I am going to be allowed a sharp implement near Tom.
Wow. You won't want to miss it. We're going to be carving our own pumpkins live here in the studio.
Or possibly one another. No, that's a joke, by the way. You're not allowed to do that. No, not allowed to do that. No, sorry.
Okay, so
interesting, though.
It's probably against some sort of rule to... Anyway, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News, and there's lots more still to come in today's programme. Do stay with us. We will get to the real news in just a moment. But first, here's the latest weather forecast.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. As we head through into this evening, it's still going to remain quite windy. We're still expecting some heavy showers as well, but if you're out trick-or-treating, there'll also be plenty of dry weather too. Now, as we head through this afternoon, we do need to keep an eye on this band of heavy showers skirting its way eastwards across the country. This has brought some quite heavy and intense downpours at times, even some thunder and lightning. This will eventually clear away, allowing some drier weather for a time, but then another band of heavy showers will push up from the southwest, eventually pushing into Scotland and northeastern areas of England. Once again, these could be quite heavy with some hail and thunder, and there's still going to be plenty of blustery winds too, but that will keep the temperatures up across the south, most towns and cities remaining in the low double digits. Now, to start the weekend, it is going to be fairly unsettled, particularly across Scotland. We've still got these heavy showers banding together to bring some longer spells of rain. Still very blustery amongst these heavier downpours too. A little drier across Northern Ireland, though can't rule out some showers around coastal areas. Northwest England, Northwest Wales too could also catch some spells of rain, and similar across southwest England, and parts of the southeast could catch some of these showers as well. Now, although these showers will be quite heavy to start the day, they will eventually push their way eastwards into the North Sea, so that means by the afternoon it should be mostly dry and bright, even some sunny spells, though once again we can't rule out some showers, these mostly pushing into the west but some skirting into eastern areas at times. So quite a changeable day, a mix of sunshine and showers, and not quite as warm as we've seen this afternoon, but highs still reaching around 14 to 15 degrees Celsius. Still quite breezy as we head into the evening, so this will continue to push in showers from the west. These still could be blustery and heavy with some hail and thunder. And the showery theme does continue as we head over into the weekend and into next week. A little cooler on Sunday too, but then turning milder once again from Monday onwards. That's it from me. Bye-bye.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps four, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device, and as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversations.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 2 o'clock on Friday, the 31st of October. Happy Halloween. I'm Tom Harwood.
And I'm Dawn Neeson.
I've questioned myself as to why did I go, what was I doing, and was it the right thing to do?
Yes, His Majesty the King sensationally strips the royal, formerly known as Prince Andrew, of all of his official titles and banishing his brother from Windsor. We're live on the ground.
Well, the King has taken decisive action, effectively making his brother a commoner, banishing him to Sandringham. I'm outside Royal Lodge, his home, for not much longer.
Meanwhile, nightmare on Downing Street. The Chancellor faces cover-up claims after she broke a housing law. Renting out a property without a licence. Are her days in government numbered? Tory leader Kemi Badenoch certainly thinks so.
She has broken the law, then she should go. In Keir Starmer's own words, lawmakers should not be lawbreakers.
Rachel Reeves has said the benefits bill is ballooning and unsustainable. But today, the government quietly commits to abandoning any attempts to reduce that ballooning bill itself. We're asking the question, has the Chancellor simply given up?
And happy Halloween. Pumpkin picking has become a must-do autumn activity, and as farms across Britain have been welcoming thousands of visitors. So happy Halloween, everybody. I hope you're having a lovely... It is Friday, isn't it?
It is a Friday.
Afternoon out there, and you're going to lots of parties. Yeah, and you're going to lots of parties, and you're having a nice time, and you're having loads of sweets and pumpkins.
I'm going to have a madcap dash to try and find out what on earth to wear. That's my task for after the show today.
The main debate of this show has been what should Tom wear to his Halloween party.
I'm liking the Rachel Reeves idea, to be honest. I'm quite leaning towards that.
I can see you in a power suit and that bob.
Yeah.
A bob would suit you. Yeah.
I think it would be funny. I want to do something that's mildly comedic. I don't want to just do a common or garden vampire.
Rachel Reeves isn't very funny at the moment.
That's probably not.
Vampires are sexy.
But could you do something? Could I go as Rachel Reeves and have like sort of a licence or not a licence? You know, sort of some sort of comedic prop that then makes it more.
Yeah.
I think that we can workshop this.
This is not a licence. You need actually someone to go with you, though, as your husband, i.e. Rachel Reeves' husband.
Right.
Because it's all his fault.
I could go as Rachel Reeves' husband.
You could go as Rachel Reeves'. What does Rachel Reeves' husband even look like? Apart from
he's an anonymous civil servant.
At the moment, to be honest with you. I mean, because it was his emails, he didn't read the emails and didn't tell Rachel about them.
I could go as the house.
You could go as a house, right?
I could go as the house that was rented out without the proper licence.
Well, given the amount of blooming snacks you've just eaten throughout the show, you're probably heading to the right side.
Wow.
Any case, let us know what you
do
think
keep
about
those thoughts coming in.
everything we're talking about today. Let's just have some fun. It is Halloween, for God's sake. gbnews.com/yoursay. All of the mad stuff and the serious stories coming up after the headlines with Tatiana Sanchez.
Dawn, thank you very much. The top story, some breaking news. A former army warrant officer has been jailed for 6 months for sexually assaulting a teenage soldier who later took her own life after being bombarded with messages by another senior colleague. Michael Webber, who was a 39-year-old battery sergeant major at the time, previously pleaded guilty to 1 count of sexual assault. He was sentenced today. He had assaulted Royal Artillery gunner Jaisley Beck from Cumbria at a work social event in July of 2021. Ms Gunner Beck's mother told the court today her daughter was left powerless and betrayed after the attack. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been struck from the official roll of the peerage, Buckingham Palace says. The palace says his name had been struck from the roll after the King took the decision to formally strip his brother of his Prince and Duke of York titles and HRH style, a move that effectively ends his public life. Andrew will be evicted from the Royal Lodge after failing to pay property rent on the 30-room property. It comes as Buckingham Palace moves to contain the scandal over Andrew's ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Last night on the Late Show Live, GB News spoke exclusively with Daphne Barrock, the journalist who exposed Fergie and Andrew's emails to Jeffrey Epstein.
It became like a train wreck. It's bad. It was a very, very tight relationship. The traffic between Sarah, Andrew, and Jeffrey Epstein was not one email, not two emails. There were more than 100 emails that we saw. They do know that much more coming and very damaging.
In a statement, the palace said His Majesty has today initiated a formal process to remove the styles, titles and honours of Prince Andrew. These are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations made against him. Their Majesties wish to make clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse. Elsewhere, Sir Keir Starmer has told Rachel Reeves she faces no further action over her inadvertent failure to obtain a rental licence for her South London family home. The Chancellor previously admitted to mistakenly breaching local council housing rules by failing to secure a selective licence for the property when it was rented out following her move into Downing Street. She initially said she was unaware of the requirement, but emails between her husband and the letting agency published yesterday showed he'd been informed about the need for a licence. However, estate agents Harvey and Wheeler took the blame for the oversight in not applying for a licence on her behalf, despite having agreed to do so. Conservative Party Chairman Kevin Hollinrake spoke to GB News.
Rachel Reeves' problem here is that her story has changed. And, of course, Rachel Reeves in the past has called for others to resign when they've broken the law and their story has changed. So on Wednesday, she said she didn't know she needed a selective licence, which not getting one is a criminal offence. In fact, if it was an honest mistake, she didn't know. But then the next day, so emails surfaced saying, actually, we did know, we just didn't make sure it happened. We think it's only right that an independent person carries out a full investigation. The Prime Minister is completely within the Prime Minister's gift to make sure that happens.
In other news, an Iranian small-boat migrant is still in the UK 2 weeks after arriving back from the Channel from France. He arrived in August and was deported back to France on the 19th of September. But just 29 days later, he paid for a place on another migrant dinghy and arrived back into Britain. It comes as the Home Office reveals just 75 illegal migrants have been returned to France since the one-in, one-out return scheme became operational on the 5th of August. The Manchester Synagogue attacker died after he sustained multiple gunshot wounds. An inquest is heard today. Jihad al-Shami launched an attack at Heaton Park Hebrew Synagogue in Crumpsall on the 2nd of October, driving his car at worshippers gathering on the Jewish holy day of Yom Kippur before attacking others with a knife and trying to storm inside. Worshippers Melvin Kravitz and Adrian Dolby were killed in the attack. And finally, 3 Just Stop Oil activists who sprayed the Stonehenge with orange powder have been cleared following a trial. 74-year-old Raja Naidu, 23-year-old student Neem Lynch and 36-year-old Luke Watson took part in the protest a day before last year's summer solstice. The 3 climate activists were found not guilty of criminal damage after citing human rights law in their defence during a 10-day trial in Salisbury Crown Court. Those are the latest headlines. More in half an hour.
Well, good afternoon, Britain. It's now 8 minutes past 2.
Yes, and Prince Andrew has been stripped of all his titles and is to be known as plain Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. And Buckingham Palace have just confirmed he has been struck from the official roll of the peerage.
Well, our very own royal correspondent Cameron Walker is in Windsor for us and has been all day. Cameron, what more can you tell us?
Well, Tom, it is clearly incredibly unprecedented even what we heard last night. The statement from Buckingham Palace effectively telling us that the king has formally begun the process to make his own brother a commoner again, stripping him of his prince title, stripping him of his Duke of York title via a royal warrant issued to the Lord Chancellor. He's now, of course, been removed from the peerage role, which means he can not only can he no longer use it, he will not appear as the Duke of York in any official documentation whatsoever. But not only that, he's been banished to Sandringham, or at least he will be banished to Sandringham. He is still currently living in Royal Lodge, which is the building behind those gates, which you can see behind me for those of you watching on television. Of course, he has a lease with that lodge. He's been served formal notice on that lease. We know, of course, that he's been paying peppercorn rent for a number of years. He originally paid £1 million up front when he moved in 2003, £7 million to renovate it, but is effectively now living there rent-free. So he's being moved to another property on the Sandringham estate, Andrew is, and that is significant because it is the King's private property. He owns, as the private Mountbatten Windsor family, the land of around Sandringham, which means no taxpayers' subsidies and no state land whatsoever. So the King, as the brother of Andrew, is going to be funding him privately. But in terms of the optics here, of course, the final line of the statement basically said that their Majesties express their sympathies with the victims of sexual assault and sexual abuse. And time again over the last 5 years, Prince Andrew has been given opportunities to do exactly the same thing, and he has chosen not to, or has failed to do so. And I think that lack of sympathy is perhaps why we're seeing such a public outcry about Prince Andrew at the moment, which is why the King has been forced to act with the support of the Prince of Wales and other members of the royal family and the government.
Expecting to see Andrew move out this weekend?
No, Dawn, do forgive me. The heavens have just opened, which is perhaps a metaphor for exactly what the mood is like inside Royal Lodge. But yes, Prince Andrew, we're not expecting him to move out quite so quickly. I've been speaking to some royal sources this morning, and they're saying, like anybody who moves house, is a big process when it comes to all the legal documents and all the rest of it. Of course, he's been served notice on the lease. He's lived there for 20 years, so it's a lot of organisation. So I doubt it's going to happen in the immediate future. The Telegraph reporting he's not going to move in there until the new year, which would be, let's say, quite convenient, because of course that means that he's not going to bump into the rest of the royal family around Christmas time. We've asked Buckingham Palace and they are not commenting on that, so we'll have to wait and see, but of course that is a possibility.
OK, well, Cameron Walker, we'll let you try and get some cover from the rain, but thanks indeed for joining us there outside Royal Lodge.
He's been doing a sterling job there, and it has been raining on and off all day for him. Anyway, so joining us now in the cosy, warm, dry studio is co-editor of Burke's Peerage, World Orders of Knighthood and Merit, the wonderful Rafe Hayden-Mancu. Rafe, good to see you. Always good to see you. You are so knowledgeable on what this actually means historically. It is a big deal, isn't it?
It's unprecedented. Just to make a slight correction to what Cameron said, legally, Andrew still is Duke of York. Only Parliament can deprive somebody of their peerage title. The King, if he would... Ideally, the King would be able to do it himself. The King can strip the style of Royal Highness, and he can strip the style of Prince, the title of Prince. He can do that by letters patent or royal warrant. That was done in 1917, when 4 members of the peerage were stripped of their peerage titles because they had supported Germany in the First World War. Duke of Albany, Duke of Cumberland and so forth. And in 1919, Princess Patricia Connaught, granddaughter of Queen Victoria, wanted to marry Sir Alexander Ramsay, and she asked if she could lose her titles, and a royal warrant was granted. So the King is going to issue either a royal warrant or letters patent to remove those titles, but only Parliament can remove a peerage title because peerages are seen as property. And there's a long-standing rule that the monarch cannot dispossess you of your property. We call this incorporeal hereditament. It's hereditary property, and so if Parliament wants to do that, he can. Yes, Andrew has been struck from the role of the peerage by royal warrant, but all that means is that any official documents won't use his title. That's all that it really means.
Well, I suppose to anyone listening to whether or not he will be introduced with a title, it will seem as though he is not on the role of the peerage. But I suppose the question now turns to Parliament. If the King has literally done everything he can constitutionally do, Parliament has fiddled with a lot of things when it comes to succession over the course of the last 300 years. Of course, you've had, since the Glorious Revolution, Parliament completely changing who is eligible to be in that line of succession. it's completely possible that there will be larger and louder demands that Andrew is stripped. He's currently 8th in line to the throne. He could be disinherited of that.
Yes, so nothing that we've discussed so far affects the line of succession. That remains as it always has been. And also, of course, it must be said, his 2 children, Beatrice and Eugenie, they still remain princesses in their own right, because they are the grandchildren in the male line of Queen Elizabeth II. But if Parliament wants to punish him further, then they could formally strip him of his peerage title. You need to make the case that it's worth spending parliamentary time on that. I mean, to all intents and purposes, he has been stripped of all titles. That could be done with pretty simple legislation, though, as long as you have the consent of Parliament. I mean, it could go through the House very quickly. They don't seem to be very willing to interfere in what they regard as a family matter, so they've firmly batted it back to the King every time this question has been raised.
Constitutionally, how damaging could this have been to the royal family? I mean, the King has acted quickly and stepped in to cause it, because we are expecting more revelations even, Dawn, to come out in the weekend papers. But how damaging could it be to the royal family? There are commentators saying today it could have been the end of the royal family if King Charles hadn't have acted as quickly as he did.
Well, I think that may be a slight exaggeration, but certainly the monarchy have always been very quick to act in terms of self-preservation. You look throughout history, that's been the case. And you have to remember, the monarchy wasn't necessarily slow to act. They wanted due process to take place. Of course, remember, Andrew has not been through a court of law, has not been found guilty of anything. And the key point is, it was when emails were released that revealed he had lied about when he had actually cut off relations. That's when we saw the monarchy take action. And then again, when we saw Parliament start to ask questions around Royal Lodge and the finances, then again the monarchy took. So every time the monarchy has taken action, it's been on the back of new revelations that have emerged, and we couldn't expect them to knowingly preempt or have advanced thought about what was coming in the future.
Well, I suppose this is an important point. I mean, Prince Andrew has clearly, well, in my view, Prince Andrew has lied. Prince Andrew has tried to cover up the extent of his relationship with a convicted paedophile. Prince Andrew has behaved appallingly. But as you rightly say, he's never been found guilty for anything in a court of law. This is a difficult position, therefore, for people to find in. Now, in the court of public opinion, he has done very, very terrible things. But legally, he has not.
But this is the crucial point. The monarchy lives and dies by its public support. And so, yes, he hasn't been found guilty in a court of law. He has been found guilty, I would say, of dishonourable conduct and lying and so forth.
He has lied. I mean,
exactly. So he's lied on that level. But the point is, at the end of the day, you know, I always put it this way. Prince Andrew was willing to lay down his life in 1982 for Queen and country in the Falklands War. This calls for him to make basically a similar sacrifice and understand, of course, the monarchy comes first. He has behaved disgracefully, irrespective of the legality of sexual assault, in terms of his choice and friends and associations, and a price has to be paid for that.
But of course he does maintain his innocence. I believe he maintains that he tells the truth, that he cannot sweat, that all of these things that have been said and that people have clearly made their own minds up about. Does this acceptance that he'll be moved out of Royal Lodge, that he'll lose all of his titles, that he's not putting up a fight here, is that to some extent a bit of a concession?
Well, of course, you have to remember, he hasn't showed any sort of contrition before. He's put himself front and foremost at every public gathering. The funeral of the Duchess of Kent, Easter at Windsor. He didn't seem to have learned any of these lessons.
You had this dreadful moment where he was trying to make small talk with Prince William, and Prince William was sort of just staring ahead, not looking at him. I mean, clearly the other royals feel very awkward around him.
It was a great display of hubris and lacking all humility whatsoever. I mean, ideally, I don't know whether the public understand the difference between Sandringham being privately owned by the King versus Windsor being Crown property. So, yes, the Parliament may be happy now that there's no link to the taxpayer. I don't know whether the public have made that separation. I ideally would have liked to have seen him follow the example of his great-uncle, the Duke of Windsor, and go into exile.
Into France.
We know, France for the Duke of Windsor, but Switzerland, of course, we know is very close to the heart of Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. He's got use of a palace in the UAE, we're told, at his disposal should he wish to use it. So he's got a choice between hot and cold climes. But I think the further he gets away from Britain would be in all of our interest.
How much do you think William has got to do with this?
This has been the King's decision. The King has acted decisively here. Of course, he's consulted with Prince William, but this is very much an issue of the King taking control of his wayward brother. It does, of course, raise questions as to whether, when Prince William becomes king, there may be some sort of precedent set in order to give him the tools with which to deal with other members of the royal family who shall remain nameless. And
that was actually going to be my next question. I mean, William has engineered this behind the scenes, and as you saw, we saw his reaction when Andrew tried to speak to him at the funeral. But if William has engineered this, what does it mean when he does take the reins of power for Harry and Meghan?
Well, again, legally, there's nothing that a king can do to take away the Duke of Sussex title, but he could be stripped of his Royal Highness and of Prince. But as things currently stand, Archie, when will become eventually His Royal Highness the Duke of Sussex, and Archie's child, if he has a son, will become His Grace. The Royal Highness doesn't go beyond the level of grandson. But you'd need to really demonstrate having done something much more significant than we've seen so far, I think, to merit stripping.
The difficulty here, of course, is that he has informally agreed to stop using HRH, even though it exists as a formal title. Does a formal title really exist if everyone agrees not to use it? It sort of becomes a philosophical question then.
If a tree falls in the wood, yes, very much the same thing. But of course, there are issues regarding the fact that they have deliberately wanted to use the titles for their children, and the commercial nature of their enterprises rests very much on their association and proximity to the monarchy. The more they've distanced themselves from the crown, the less popular they've become, so they realise they do need to be within the orbit of the monarchy. And so there are genuine questions about whether they are, in essence, profiteering of their royal titles and status. And in fact, their website, essentially looks like they're trying to establish an American court in the USA to rival that of the Windsors over here.
God, well, the Portuguese did that in Brazil fairly successfully, didn't they? But no, fascinating times. Rafe Hayden, thank you.
Thank you.
OK, now let's move on, shall we? This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. There's loads more coming up on today's show.
Yes, the Chancellor has said the benefits bill is ballooning and indeed unsustainable. But today, the government quietly commits to abandoning any attempts to reduce it. We're asking, has the Chancellor simply given up?
And nightmare on Downing Street. The Chancellor faces cover-up claims after she broke a housing law, renting out the property without a licence. Are her days in government numbered?
Well, all of that and much more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've got a suggestion for your Halloween costume.
Oh, yes?
From one Robert Jenrick, no less.
Oh, yes?
You could go as Calamity Lammy. David Lammy.
Right.
The Halloween costume based around David Lammy.
I think I might avoid dressing up as David Lammy.
Yeah, probably not a good idea. But tricks for trick-or-treating, tricks how to claim asylum or get released early.
Goodness me, well, lots of suggestions, keep them coming in.
Yeah.
But we should say it really is a nightmare on Downing Street as the Chancellor faces cover-up claims after she broke a housing law renting out a property without the required licence.
Rachel Reeves assured the Prime Minister in a letter she and her husband were unaware they needed a licence, but uncovered emails say otherwise.
Yes, the Chancellor could now face a £38,400 bill for failing to obtain that licence for the South East London property that she continues to rent out.
Joining us now is GB News political editor Christopher Hope. Christopher, any more movement on this story?
No, nothing. I've left my wet position in number 11 Downing Street.
Don't blame you.
Nothing's happened there since I was there. It is a bit of a mess here, frankly. She and her husband, Nick Joycey, the Chancellor, didn't get this licence you have to rent out a property in South East London. The Daily Mail found out. They wrote a story. Before that paper had hit the newsstands, she had written to the Prime Minister saying this, regrettably, we were not aware a licence was necessary. That led to an immediate inquiry by Sir Laurie Magnus, the PM's ethics advisor, who cleared her, saying, well, there we are, these things happen, you weren't aware, and now you are aware, and now you're dealing with it. Of course, the licence application went in that day. Time to move on. But the problem they've got is that the following day, the estate agent, yesterday afternoon, said this, we alert all our clients to the need for a licence. We had offered to apply one for her to be helpful, and our client would be under the impression it had been applied for. So the agent had said you must have one, although he had offered to do it for her, and that led to the Chancellor having to write again to the Prime Minister to make clear that we did actually know. We were told on the 17th of July last year, me and my husband Nick Joycey were told that we would have to get a licence, even though I told you the day before I wouldn't. Not surprisingly, the PM is upset with this, and last night he said it was clearly regrettable that the information on this wasn't shared before you wrote to me the first time, and if your husband had carried out a trawl of emails, that might have been better. But despite all of that, she has been cleared both by Laurie Magnus, the ethics advisor, and by the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, who says, I see no need for any further action. The Tories want a further probe into this. It's a needless row, frankly. They could have got there if they'd held back one day to get all the evidence before going to Laurie Magnus. It wouldn't have embarrassed the Prime Minister or also embarrassed Laurie Magnus, who cleared her the first time and then had to clear her again when more evidence came to light. They acted too quickly, and that's come back to bite them.
We all understand that the budget is coming up and it would look very, very bad for Rachel Reeves to lose her job before that actually happened, and certainly with the money market's reactions. But what happens after the budget?
What do you mean, Dawn? You mean with Rachel Reeves' future?
With Rachel Reeves, how secure is she? I mean, she's got the backing of her boss at the moment, although that letter that he sent her last night, I mean, that was about the strongest language I've ever heard Keir Starmer use. I mean, it would have been helpful if you'd have looked through your emails, love, kind of thing.
Quite right.
I mean, how much of a sticky wicket is she on after the budget?
Well, it depends what's in the budget. I mean, the forecast is she's going to increase one of those three big taxes she wasn't going to increase in last year's election: VAT, national insurance for employees, or income tax. But it now looks like, well, many people think 2p on income tax to buy the necessary headroom to avoid tax increases next year. But I was there at the CBI conference last November when she said she wouldn't increase taxes again like she had just done. I think there are issues here, I think, for Rachel Reeves. Her competence, she has had a U-turn already on the issue of the pensioners' money for fuel. There's been issues of accepting freebies she wished she hadn't taken. She had to rewrite parts of her online CV on LinkedIn. She scrapped a £5 billion welfare cut, and now we've got this with not knowing she had to have a licence, even though she had said on social media that she was welcoming these licences being expanded into parts of Leeds 2 years ago. I think there's an issue of confidence in her ability, frankly, to do this job. Now, I did ask that question directly of the PM spokesman in the lobby briefing just before lunchtime, and then he listed the things that she has done in office, overseeing cuts in interest rates, hundreds of billions of pounds of investment, an investment summit. The economy has felt stuck, and she's the answer to it, but it will damage, I think, the wider confidence in Rachel Reeves. But as for the Prime Minister, we're told he has full confidence in her, and that budget, of course, November the 26th.
Looking forward to that, Christopher. Thanks very much.
Looking forward's one way to describe it.
Before Christmas. Christopher Hope, thank you very much indeed. OK, joining us now is political commentator John Oxley. John, this is an absolute mess, isn't it? I mean, it does sound like decisions have been made in haste without any real investigation going on. It's more than embarrassing. It's potentially very damaging for the government.
Yes, it is. And as you said, there is less than a month now to the budget. We know this really is going to be a pivotal budget for Keir Starmer and for the Labour government. And the fact that his Chancellor and, by extension, the Prime Minister is getting dragged into this row is deeply embarrassing, and that it's gone on now into its second day. Maybe there's more to come. Just shows like they're not in control of the story and not in control of what's going on around them, really.
This is a curious tale, because on the first night, the Prime Minister was so quick to publish this exchange of letters. We got it close to midnight into our inboxes, and it seemed like they wanted to say, look, we've looked into this, nothing to see here, all done and dusted, let's move on, please. And even the ethics advisor was party to that. And the very next day, we learnt that it wasn't all over, that there was more, that the Chancellor, perhaps inadvertently, had not told the full truth. And it raises some big questions as to why did they rush this out so quickly? Why did the ethics advisor go along with this rushed non-investigation?
Yes, it's very odd. Clearly, the government wanted to stamp on this story straight away. This all appears to have been inadvertent by the Chancellor. There's no real suggestion of dishonesty. But in the hurry to get that dealt with quickly, they didn't think, actually, is there more lurking that we just don't know about, that we haven't bottomed out all of the details? And so it's got into this strange situation where we're now having a second exoneration from the ethics watchdog, which, as you say, just looks very confusing for everyone looking on at the story, and looks like there was political motivation to get this dealt with very, very quickly. And in doing so, it's actually made it a much bigger story than it otherwise would have been.
OK, John, thank you very much. That's a political commentator, John Oxley, there for us.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more still to come. Indeed, happy Halloween, as you can probably see. Lots of pumpkin picking. It's become a must-do autumn activity for farms across the country, welcoming thousands of breads.
All of that and much more to come after your latest news headlines with Tatiana.
Thank you. The top stories. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been struck from the official roll of the peerage. Buckingham Palace says his name had been struck from the roll after the King took the decision to formally strip his brother of his Prince and Duke of York titles and HRH style, a move that effectively ends his public life. The Manchester Synagogue attacker died after he sustained multiple gunshot wounds, according to an inquest. Jihad al-Shami launched an attack at Heaton Park Hebrew Synagogue in Crumpsall on the 2nd of October, driving his car at worshippers gathering on the Jewish holy day of Yom Kippur before attacking others with a knife and trying to storm inside. An Iranian small boat migrant is still in the UK 2 weeks after arriving back across the Channel from France. He arrived in August and was deported back to France on the 19th of September. But just 29 days later, he paid for a place on another migrant dinghy and arrived back in Britain. Those are the GB News headlines for now. There's more news with Katie Bowen at 3 o'clock.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Well, thank you, Tatiana. Lots more
I was
still
going to say
to come.
that as well.
Well, we both want to thank her.
She does it so well, and she
Yeah.
looks so gorgeous as well.
So true.
But there's loads more coming up on today's show, including us speaking in sync. We spend that much time together at the moment. Rachel Reeves has said the benefits bill is ballooning and unsustainable. But today, Labour quietly commits to abandoning any attempts to reduce it, as the Chancellor's simply given up.
Well, all of that and much more to come, including some pumpkin tomfoolery. Well, this is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. An unsettled day ahead with some heavy showers. Some of these could bring some hail and thunder, but for all it is set to be a windy day. And the reason for the unsettled picture, well, it's all thanks to low pressure situated to the northwest. So at times this is going to drag in some frontal systems out to the west. This one in particular we do need to keep an eye on. It's set to bring some quite intense and heavy downpours as it skirts its way eastwards. Some hail and thunder and some very blustery winds associated with this as well. As it does clear, this will allow some sunshine to develop, particularly in the west as we head into the afternoon. But it is going to be quite a breezy day for all, particularly around exposed areas. But in sheltered spots and any sunshine, it should feel quite pleasant for the time of year. Highs reaching around 16, possibly even 17 degrees Celsius. Now, there will be some rain lingering on for a time into this evening, but eventually this band of showers will clear, allowing plenty of dry spells, some clearer skies as well. So good if you are heading out trick-or-treating. Northern Ireland in particular should see plenty of clear skies. There are still going to be some scattered showers at times across northwest England, northern parts of Wales, and at times across the south. But for a time this evening, many areas seeing a dry end to the day. But then we need to keep an eye on this area of rain pushing in from the southwest. Once again, another heavy band of showers, these possibly bringing in some hail and thunder and also some blustery winds. These will push up into Scotland, northern parts of England by the time we head towards dawn. So many areas across the south dry by the time we reach Saturday morning, a mix of cloud and some clearer skies. Still quite blustery. That means it is going to keep temperatures up, many areas in the low double digits. Now, there will be some showers remaining for the start of the weekend, some longer spells of rain, but these will eventually clear away, allowing some sunshine to develop, though it is still going to be windy and we still can't rule out some showers, particularly across western areas. Feeling a little cooler than this afternoon, highs reaching around 15 degrees Celsius.
Thank you, Britain, for helping us reach 8 million followers across social media. Thank you for making us a part of your daily life.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Caution is advised in Dumfries and Galloway due to surface water affecting driving. On the A19 southbound at the junction with the A689 in Stockton-on-Tees, a broken-down vehicle is causing lane closures. The M6 southbound in Lancashire between junctions 36 and 34 faces significant delays. Heavy traffic is reported on the M40 southbound in Warwickshire between junctions 14 and 11, with up to 1.5 hours of delays. Slow conditions are on the A43 northbound in Northamptonshire. On the trains, expect disruptions between Newcastle and Alnmouth and between London, Paddington and Reading. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Good afternoon, Britain. The government has fallen into more hot water after admitting that a major review into disability benefits will save, you've guessed it, no money. But here, with a quick explainer to make it crisp and sexy and full of impact for you, as only Tom Harwood can do, is indeed the one and only Tom Harwood to explain this story. Tom, take it away.
That's right. Welcome back to Numeracy Corner. We're back at our magic whiteboard to understand precisely 3 very important numbers. Now, this is all about working age health-related benefits, things like personal independence payments. Now, in 2020, that financial year, I'm just going to draw a big stick down the side of it, these cost us £36 billion each and every year. But as we will soon see, it hasn't stayed at that level. £36 billion. It was an already extraordinary amount of money, but by 23-24, it had risen to £52 billion. Now, that's a huge increase of around 50%. But the most concerning figure of all is that by 2029-2030, the end of this Parliament, it's expected to rise to £66 billion. This is the big red scary number that the Chancellor was so concerned about in the summer. She brought forward a package of measures that were trying to reduce that increase by £5 billion. So remember, it would still be an increase. It would still be going up by £9 billion, but not by as much. Well, she wanted to reduce that. The Labour Party backbenchers rebelled, and it was all kicked into the long grass. Something called the Timms Review was going to sort it all out later. Well, today we've learnt something from the Timms Review, and that this £66 billion number is still going to be stuck to. Indeed, the review's terms of reference announced today say that they will operate within the OBR projections for future expenditure. What's that in plain English? £66 billion is still expected to be spent on working age health-related benefits by the end of the Parliament. That's up from £36 billion just before COVID. What an extraordinary rise. No other country is experiencing this huge rise in benefit spending.
Now, that's all very impressive, Tom Harwood, but I want a stick man on there. Come on. It's not going to be a whiteboard moment.
Hang on.
Stick man.
OK, here we go. This is a very unhappy Chancellor.
Right, OK. Actually, that's pretty good. OK, thank you very much, Tom Harwood. Beautifully explained. I'm still none the wiser, but joining us now is independent statistician and political commentator Jamie Jenkins to explain it properly. Jamie, what's going on with this story?
Yeah, well, I thought Tom did a good job there. Fair play to him. But what's going on is there's a lot of different working age benefits for health-related reasons, and one of the critical ones, which is what's really ramped up over the last few years, is kind of the personal independent payments. That's PIP payments. So we've seen a 1 million rise in the number of claimants for PIP. That's just since 2021. And so we're now at 3.8 million people, up from 2.8 million people. And half of that rise has been for people with psychiatric disorders, which includes people with anxiety, etc. And we're also seeing a big increase in young people. So the government's got an issue here in the numbers Tom's just talked about, with that big increase that's coming our way. If they don't get a hold of this, what it means then is you either have to cut other public services to fund the benefits bill, you either have to do more borrowing, or you have to increase taxes. And it's the last two is pretty much what's going on at the moment. Is we borrowed 20 billion in September, 100 billion this year overall, and the borrowing bill is just going up and up and up. So the hope was to try and cut the benefits bill, but yet the Timms Review is looking like, let's stay within the OBR window, which isn't good for the public purse, basically.
I mean, it's extraordinary. We're not even talking about just sort of keeping government spending where it is. It looks like government spending is running away from this Chancellor. She tried to cut it by £5 billion. There was a rebellion. She couldn't do that. The review that was meant to, that she kept referencing as something that might keep a cap on these costs, is actually saying these costs are going to spiral further out of control. That's £66 billion. And these are working age, out of work health benefits. Lots of it on mental health issues. We've heard the Reform Party, we've heard the Conservative Party both put forward proposals to try and reduce this. But now it looks like the Labour Party is abandoning any type of reform here.
Yeah, totally, Tom. And part of the problem why that bill is getting bigger and bigger and bigger is a lot of these benefits are all linked in terms of the increases in the future years. It could be worse than what you're actually talking about, is because they're linked to inflation. And inflation in the UK is running higher than some of our comparable countries. Now, I heard some absolute nonsense that Rachel Reeves talking about this week, blaming Brexit, when actually it's their own government's policies with the jobs tax, the energy policies, where we've got one of the highest energy costs across Europe. That is hitting people in terms of inflation. And when inflation's high, what happens then is benefits are uprated with inflation. So if you get inflation down, you get the cost of the benefits down. And the other part of the puzzle in all of this is the NHS. So people are going on to these working age benefits because the NHS can't treat them because of the massive backlog. Again, poor government policies, previous government policies over the COVID period where they kind of told people to stay away from the NHS. So ultimately, it's us, the taxpayer, your viewers, your listeners are going to pay for all of this because the government has lost the room and it hasn't got, it's basically the government's paralysed. They cannot cut this bill because their backbenchers won't let them.
It's actually frightening, isn't it, Abby? A scary budget coming up. Jamie, thank you very much. That's our independent statistician and political commentator, Jamie Jenkins there. Fine. It's really affecting youngsters more than any other age group as well.
Yeah, more youngsters. And the problem is, if at the very young age you never have that alarm clock going off, you never get up in the morning, you never go into work, that is going to really have a long-term effect. It's all very well and good if you've previously had the experience of getting up and going to work. If you never start that routine, that's a really bad situation for the country going forward.
In any case, well done on the whiteboard, and the stick person was great. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. There's loads more coming up. On today's show, we're going to have a pumpkin carving competition. But Tom's only got a little one, as I keep pointing out, so it shouldn't be too tricky, should it? But if you are in search of some holiday sun, leave it alone. Here is a forecast of the top European holiday destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
A lot of fine weather at the moment across southern Europe, but a couple of exceptions. Showery for Greece and rain for parts of Iberia. A narrow band of rain approaching Madeira, staying away from the Canary Islands, but pushing into Lisbon, where it's a wet day on Saturday, moving across central Spain into the south and middle parts of France. Meanwhile, showers across northern and the far south of Italy, in between some sunshine. Showers also for Greece, but the Greek islands looking reasonable next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community.
So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's, of course, the 31st of October, and what does that mean? Halloween.
To be honest with you, I'm with oh, where is it? Any case.
Look, we've been put to the test. We're going to be tested with regard to carving these pumpkins in front of us. We've got to do it in just 4 minutes' time. But remember, before we start carving, just a quick reminder, if children are helping out, make sure an adult is always supervising. We are allegedly adults.
We're not. This is the problem.
But pumpkin carving can be fun. It does involve sharp tools. So, speaking of sharp tools... That was a self-referential joke. But are you ready to go, Dawn?
I got it. Yes, I'm ready.
Great, OK. Is our timer starting? Here we go.
Right,
OK,
fine.
right. I'm going to draw on with a pencil or a pen, even. Sort of what I roughly want to do first, so that I can
seriously,
see.
I've bent it already. Look.
Oh no. OK.
Look, come on.
Here goes nothing. I'm just going to. Oh, gosh. I normally use proper knives when I do stuff like this, but we've been given sort of plasticky, safety first tools. I think I'm going to do this in less than 4 minutes, to be honest. It depends how intricate you have to be with the carving, but I think it's going pretty blooming well for me.
Mine isn't. What? Hold on.
Oh, here we go. Look at that.
What?
Eye number 1, bingo.
Well, let me have a look. That's ridiculous.
Right, I think, Dawn, I genuinely would recommend putting some pen on there first so that you know where you're going to cut. Oh, I see the problem now. Wait, hang on. Turn this round. Look at. Oh.
What?
I don't know which camera we need to show here. Dawn has managed to impale her pumpkin with a bit of. This is half of a plastic knife that is just stuck in there. Dawn, I'm going to give this back to you. There might be another one for you. Do you want to use this one?
My tools have been sabotaged. What am I to do with that?
A bad workman blames their own tools.
I don't know my own strength.
How are you doing? Okay.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah, no, it's fine. One of the edges is slightly serrated. It might make sense.
Mine just keeps getting bent. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, look, this is a race against the clock and a race against each other, so I don't want to help you too much. But here we go, second eye out. I'm absolutely... Look at that. Wait, where is it? OK, now I'm going to try for the mouth. And the important thing with a pumpkin is, I mean, you can be very intricate.
I've done it.
You can be very... You've done... OK. Is that really what's going to be your pumpkin?
Yes.
OK, I feel like... Oh, no, I've bent my own thing now. Look at that. That's not going well. OK, no, it's OK. We're bending it back into place. And here we go. I honestly, normally, I haven't ever used such flimsy materials to do a pumpkin carving. But I suppose it's important to be safe in this. I mean, that's something else to remember. When you're dealing with tough skins like a pumpkin, it can be pretty hairy.
Look, I know jack-o'-lanterns, right? They're meant to scare evil spirits away, right? It's obviously not working because I'm still working with Tom. But I mean, it's really... How do people do those really intricate designs? Like they do rock stars and things. I mean, mine just looks like... I don't know what mine even looks like, to be honest with you. I've just cheated. To be honest.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore. I have just cheated.
You've given up?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not the GB News spirit.
No, it's really
No, the GB News spirit is to fight, is to continue pushing back. Oh, yes, in the face of adversity.
In my world,
in the face of pumpkins. Oh, right.
Oh, that's really good.
Now I'm going to give him some fangs. Oh, OK, how much time do we have? We've got less than a minute to go.
He's going to do it. He's going to smash it. I just...
Oh, OK, right, there we go. There's one.
I came dressed as a pumpkin, at least.
You did. Yeah, I did not get the orange memo today.
It's all... you've got to have a very firm...
Grip.
Grip.
Yeah, OK. Oh, gosh. I've now got very pumpkin-y hands. You know what? 30 more seconds. What else can I do?
Come on,
a nose! I don't have a nose!
You don't have a nose.
OK. Right, maybe this is too ambitious in the face of 20 seconds, but I'm going to try and get this nose done.
Look, 20 seconds
Oh dear,
to go.
OK. It's going to be a very tiny little Michael Jackson nose, but there we go. I think within the time frame, 5 seconds, let me just put the lid back on, clear the deck, put him there. Where's the camera? There it is.
But mine's a patriotic pumpkin. I'm sorry.
OK, should we hold these two pumpkins up and just let the audience decide? Who do we think the pumpkin carving
really
competition?
Good, actually, but,
Dawn, I would say good effort, but I'm just not convinced that you did put in a good effort.
It's just rubbish. I'm sorry. Anyway, thank you so much for your company this afternoon. It's been huge fun. We've really enjoyed your company. I mean, yeah, OK, thank you so much. Don't go anywhere, though. Have a very, very happy Halloween. But that actually is a vast improvement. Don't go anywhere, because the wonderful Martin is up next with some serious news and...
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. As we head through into this evening, it's still going to remain quite windy. We're still expecting some heavy showers as well, but if you're out trick-or-treating, there'll also be plenty of dry weather too. Now, as we head through this afternoon, we do need to keep an eye on this band of heavy showers skirting its way eastwards across the country. This has brought some quite heavy and intense downpours at times, even some thunder and lightning. This will eventually clear away, allowing some drier weather for a time, but then another band of heavy showers will push up from the southwest, eventually pushing into Scotland and northeastern areas of England. Once again, these could be quite heavy with some hail and thunder, and there's still going to be plenty of blustery winds too, but that will keep the temperatures up across the south, most towns and cities remaining in the low double digits. Now, to start the weekend, it is going to be fairly unsettled, particularly across Scotland. We've still got these heavy showers banding together to bring some longer spells of rain. Still very blustery amongst these heavier downpours too. A little drier across Northern Ireland, though can't rule out some showers around coastal areas. Northwest England, Northwest Wales too could also catch some spells of rain, and similar across southwest England and parts of the southeast could catch some of these showers as well. Now, although these showers will be quite heavy to start the day, they will eventually push their way eastwards into the North Sea. So that means by the afternoon, it should be mostly dry and bright, even some sunny spells, though once again, we can't rule out some showers, these mostly pushing into the west, but some skirting into eastern areas at times. So quite a changeable day, a mix of sunshine and showers, and not quite as warm as we've seen this afternoon, but highs still reaching around 14 to 15 degrees